All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And tonight, it's open mic, 49er style. It is your show. I am just here to get things started and then open up the gates for you to call in, get whatever is on your mind, off your mind, and let's talk 49er football. It is back this week. It is no longer a bye week. But before we get started, there are a couple things that I want to throw your way, maybe to tee it off. You can talk about these subjects or you can go your own direction, whatever you would like to do tonight. But these are the things that have happened throughout the bye week. And so I would be remiss if I did not bring them up. The first thing is the John Lynch comments that have come up over the last couple of days, where he had the interview with NBC Sports, Matt Mayoko, and he was asked basically if this team is in turmoil. And he said, no, we're not. And he did the little ear tug thing, which is usually a tell that maybe he's not being truthful there. I don't know. But there is that's going on. Very interesting stuff. You know, it seems like there's something going on with this organization, you know, whether they're in full-blown turmoil. I don't know about that. They definitely have to get back on track this week, though, if they are going to be contenders this year. It starts at home against the Colts. And we're about to find out what they're made of. Obviously, I just talked about the Colts. Again, it is game week. Buckner is making his return back to Santa Clara. I am curious to see what happens there. What does this game look like? I feel like the Colts are a little bit better than what maybe their record says. And I think this is going to be a hard-fought game. You know, the strengths that the Colts have are definitely some weaknesses for the San Francisco 49ers. And I could see this game going either way. And I'm just curious to see how it plays out, especially in Buck's return. And then the other thing is this, Kyle Shanahan. So I laid out a couple things over the past week where I talked about Kyle Shanahan's record as a head coach, basically ranking 128th out of 191 coaches when it comes to win percentage. Out of every coach who has ever been in the NFL with at least 50 games under their belt, he ranks 128 out of 191. Harbaugh, who got fired, ranks 5th on that list. I just find it very interesting that nobody is willing to put heat on Kyle Shanahan. And I get it. He signed a big extension. It's tough to get out from under that, but it is not impossible. That's for sure. And then when you look at him as a play caller in the NFL, 14 years he's called plays, 8 of which his team is ranked 20th or worse. You know, for an offensive genius, that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. But then I want to talk about this comment. And, you know, this just popped up on my timeline on Twitter. Grant just tweeted it out. And I just find it very interesting and really apropos with what we have going on with the 49ers and why maybe their offense is not clicking to this point. So this goes back to Colin Kaepernick being on this team with the 49ers and why Kyle Shanahan decided not to retain him, which when you read this quote by itself makes a lot of sense. Until you get to this here and you see what's going on, this is where the wheels fall off. So at some point in the interview, he was asked about Colin, and this was a follow-up question, and I'll read you his response. It says, going back to what you mentioned, the question before about certain quarterbacks, is that one of the reasons why maybe former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick isn't a fit? Because you'd have to really switch up your offense to fit his skill. So this was asked to Shanahan, I believe in 2017. And he says, yeah, I think just the experience of doing that type of stuff, you don't just run stuff and you think you're going to be good at it right away. You've got to commit to it and work at it year round. And it's all of the positions. When all of your quarterbacks have a different way to be successful, which I've been in that situation, you try to prepare them the best. It does take a toll on the offense. What you are trying to get good at, you cannot practice everything. You can't be great at everything. You've kind of got to commit to something and do it over and over and over. And once the type of running game or drop back game you're going to commit to one quarterback is completely different than the other, then that does affect your team. That's why I think it can be harder when those types of guys are going through competitions and stuff and like that, because even though you're trying to find the best guy, by trying to be fair to those quarterbacks, you're also being unfair to the team. Basically what he's saying, the reason he didn't keep Colin, and again, it makes a lot of sense. You have to have two different offenses when you have a mobile quarterback versus a quarterback that is going to play a pocket style game. So that begs the question, why the hell is Jimmy G still on this roster? Why was he on this roster to start the season if that's the way that you felt? You knew Jimmy was going to get injured at some point. He's always gotten injured at some point. Why then would you keep him on this roster when you have a Colin Kaepernick available? You have an RG3. You had a Cam Newton become available late in the season. That is the type of quarterback that you seemingly are building around in Trey Lance. So why wouldn't you make all things even and allow this offense to have some continuity? It doesn't make a lot of sense, Kyle. And the other thing is this, maybe you don't want to run that type of offense. That's cool. Guess what? Trey Lance was a pocket passer in college. He played from under center. So why, when you bring him in, are you running a completely different offense? It makes a lot of sense now. When you put this all into perspective, you hear what he says about Colin Kaepernick and why he was not on this roster, about having to have two different offenses and how it makes it hard on every player on the team. It makes a lot of sense to know why they are not scoring a lot of points and certainly are struggling to get it going early in games because they are learning two different things. That's why you have holding penalties. That's why you have a drive just like last week where it is 12 plays, 7 minutes, and 18 yards. That's what happens when you're learning two different offenses. Kyle, that is on you. That's enough of me ranting. I've got a couple people waiting, so we will get to your calls right now. The link is in the description. So if you want to call in, I've only got 2 waiting. I can get to you rather quickly. And the link should be pinned at the top of the chat. So let's get this thing going real quick. And then I will bring on the man that always starts my shows, Mr. Korean 49er. Hey, what's going on, Korean 49er?
I'm good, Jesse. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Ready to rock and roll. I am curious to see what's on your mind and everybody's mind tonight. We had a banger of a show last week, and I hope we can come even close to that this week. It should be a lot of fun if we can.
Hopefully we can keep you up past midnight out there. So
that's the goal. Let's do it.
First point, I want to talk about the upcoming game against Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. I see the defensive line of the Colts having a field day with the right side of our offensive line. Okay. The right side of our offensive line has more holes than a block of Swiss cheese. And if Jimmy's the starting quarterback, he's going to be a sacking dummy for Buckner, and I'm expecting him to get 2 sacks minimum.
Man, gosh, if Buckner has a game like that against the 49ers, it is going to look so bad. And I won't be shocked because Buckner has that type of talent. He just, this year, he hasn't been that player, but you're right. The right side of this line is not looking good. And Buckner is really good. So that would be a shame.
Yep. And to me, when Kyle said that about Colin Kaepernick, he told me a lot about what he thinks about, having to coach up Trey. To me, Kyle, if you're some kind of a genius, shouldn't you be able to at least create something for Trey? I mean, if you're going to run quarterback power with Trey in an empty set where he's the only player in the backfield and you get him killed on a run, that's on you, and you deserve to be raked over the coals for, because didn't we draft 2 running backs that were getting decent average yardage per rush to not have the quarterback get injured in that kind of play?
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's the most contradictory thing that I've probably ever heard. And it makes a lot of sense of what the hell's going on right now. Again, I feel like right now, Kyle Shanahan and this organization are talking out of both sides of their mouths. They're saying one thing, but then they show you something completely different. They tell you things like Trey Lance isn't ready. But when Trey Lance plays, you put a majority of the offense on his shoulders. You come out and run empty set shotgun to start games. You don't run the ball hardly at all unless it's with him. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, man. And this quote kind of puts things into perspective for sure.
Yeah. So one team identity point that I thought of recently, I wish this team was more like the Baltimore Ravens. because they have a coach right now, John Harbaugh, who's, I don't know if he's an elite. I think he's a very good coach. I don't know if he's elite per se, but right now he has 15 players on IR, including his left tackle Ronnie Stanley, and they have a 5-1 record. I don't understand how Kyle can get away with using injuries when it's a known fact that players get injured in every game, no matter what position it is, and other players have to step up. Because I remember Bill Belichick said once, "Tell me about that backup player on the opposing team. Tell me what he can do in case, one of his opposing team players gets hurt." Isn't that your job, Kyle, to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because I agree with that. And I actually made a comment about that earlier on Twitter about how they've had that many injuries. And if this was San Francisco, I mean, Shanahan would be getting another pass for those injuries. I guess the only difference is that Lamar's probably, I mean, he's playing like an MVP caliber quarterback right now. Definitely a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And that's something the 49ers have not had. But again, it all goes back to Kyle. Like, why do they not have it? Right. You passed on a Watson and a Mahomes, understandably so. And I don't kill them for passing on those guys. Right. What I kill them for is that you had a plan in place for Kirk Cousins, who also, by the way, is a pretty damn good quarterback. If Kirk Cousins was on this team, there's a good chance that they win that Super Bowl in 2019. So, you had Kirk Cousins. He was the apple of Kyle's eye, and you bail on that plan 10 games into the season and go with Jimmy G. And then you sign him to a long-term extension instead of going, franchise tag, what have you. There's so many little mistakes that have been made, and it's really just set this team back, way too far at this point.
Yeah, and when Kyle says he wanted Mac Jones, I said, who does Mac Jones have in New England as his support system? He has Josh McDaniels, and he also has Bill Belichick. Who would he have in San Francisco? You have Kyle and Mike McDaniel. That's doesn't reassure me with a lot of confidence for a young quarterback. Nothing, hopefully Trey will prove us wrong, but I don't see those guys making Trey into a potential, let's just say, Josh Allen type of quarterback.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's not like I get a lot of confidence in Scangarello either, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at, Korean 49er. This is where we're at. We're at a crossroads, and we're going to know real soon here. Kyle's definitely going to be on this team next year unless something crazy happens. I'd be shocked if he's gone. And I'm not even calling for his head at this point. But what I am saying is you have to show that you can develop a quarterback. You've developed 0 quarterbacks. Now, one thing you have done is you've taken guys that are good and you've brought them to career years, right? I'm not taking anything away from that. What he did with Matt Ryan was phenomenal. What he did with some of those other guys has been fantastic. But you have not developed a quarterback from ground zero into a long-term viable option in this league. And I have my question marks of whether he can or cannot. And we're going to find out here real soon.
There is one thing I could file Kyle for if it happens, which I think for one thing he may do. I think he may give Miami a really good first-round draft pick in 2022 and 2023 if he doesn't, get his head out of his you-know-what.
Man, listen, if that draft pick ends up being really high this year and next year, that's a disaster. That's an absolute disaster. And right now, if they don't make the playoffs this year and they continue to stick with Jimmy and you do not develop Trey at all throughout the rest of this year, I mean, what a lost cause this whole year has been. And that's worst case scenario. So let's hope they can get back on track. Let's stay a little positive. Let's see them beat the Colts. It's going to be a tough game, but maybe they can do it and turn this season around. But man, this game is really pivotal, is it not?
It is, and hopefully the team will find a way and get that tough win against Indianapolis.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for starting us off the way that you do every single week. I appreciate you, Korean 49er, and I know that we'll definitely talk next week. You have a good week. Have a great weekend also, and enjoy that 49er game on Sunday, all right?
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it.
All right, man. All right, so I'm going to bring in Viet here right now, actually. But before we actually get to him and break down what's on his mind, I want to shout out Mo's Nose. He's thrown up a couple comments already. He says, can you imagine Buck sacking Jimmy and then doing his sweep celebration, seller's remorse? Yeah, absolutely, Mo's. It's a bad scenario if that happens. But I want to shout him out because I was just on his channel. Mo is a hell of a guy. And I just I want to shout out his channel. You know, if you're following me, tap in over there, give him some love. He's got some fresh gear too. We were talking about that all episode, but had a lot of fun over there. Like I said, real good guy. So go subscribe to him. And other than that, let's get to our next caller. Viet, how you doing, my man?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. What's on your mind?
I really appreciate you doing all this, especially after all that debacle that happened to you. You're so willing to do this. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. You know, you got to get back on the horse at some point, and you know, I'm not going to allow that to hold things back.
Yeah,
definitely
and I think this is a great way to do this.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's you know, it's nice, right? Because like I can see you still, you can see me, so we can have a cadence, right? But nobody else can see you. That's perfect.
Maybe I can do some stuff in the back.
What's up, man? So what's on your mind?
Okay. Oh, I mean, I got a few things. I don't know if I'll get through all of them, but I want to comment on what the Kyle comment.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it just feels like he's one of those people, kind of like me, where I have like I buy bread and it kind of gets moldy. I don't want to waste it, so I just like pick off all the loose ends and then try to salvage it as much as I can, because like they paid a lot of money for Jimmy. So I feel like he's probably trying to trade it, like Grant has said. Like he's probably trying to move up his stock somehow and trade him. And it's at the what's it called? Is at the sake of developing Trey Lance. I think that's why he held on to Pettis for so long.
Yeah, listen, they're doing it with Jalen Hurt right now as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's. I mean, how bad is this? Is this kid even going to play at all this year? It doesn't look like it. And you may be right about that, but that's unfortunate, right? Because the way I look at it with Jimmy G, they got to a Super Bowl with Jimmy. No, they didn't win it. No, they were not there because of Jimmy. I'm not going to go that far. But he was the quarterback on this roster when they went to the Super Bowl. If you gave a second round pickup for that, he's earned his keep. He has. And you know, there was so many opportunities to let him go and nip this in the bud way before it got to this point. You know, it's too late now. You definitely can't do it here. Maybe you can trade him, but who really is going to take on that contract? I just think that they really screwed up their opportunities to change this roster for the better and use Jimmy's contract is a way to do that.
Yeah. I also want to talk about the O-line too, because I mean, you know, DeForest Buckner's going to get up for this game, especially on prime time. And we're playing against Wentz. Wentz got us last year. And he really, like, it was underrated how much he affected that game with his mobility and his arm. So I don't expect any less on Sunday.
No, Wentz is – listen, people want to pile on Wentz. I get it. He may not be there was a lot of comparisons with him and Dak early on that they were in the same division. And, you know, Wentz did look like the better quarterback early on. Obviously, you know, over time that has not proven to be the case. But Wentz is a lot better than what people want to give him credit for. If you're giving me my choice between Wentz and Jimmy, I'm 1000% taking Carson Wentz. Like, that's not even debatable. The talent that Wentz has is still up here. Now, can he stay healthy and can he put it together? I don't know. But if he were healthy, I think he's the better player. He scares people a lot more. He's got a lot more tools in his toolbox. And, you know, I think that he definitely can do what he needs to do to win the game this week.
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, if the guy plays well against us, it doesn't really matter how he ranks against other players. If he matches up well against us, we're in trouble either way.
Yeah, 1000%. Yep.
Yeah. I want to talk about the O-line and sort of Trent Williams' contract, because I'm not saying we need to be trading him or anything like that, but we're putting a lot of money into Trent Williams, right? And that money is not just for Trent Williams. That's to build the O-line. So if you're, because like I love what Trent does on the run game, just rolling people over, but he can't block both sides. We're getting exposed either way. So if you're paying that much to invest in an O-line and you're still getting beat, what's the point of having a big contract like that? Wouldn't you rather just like maybe trade him for 2 guys that are solid and can hold a line? Like I'm sure like in terms of when it comes to O-line, I'd rather have 5 guys that are solid than four Pro Bowlers and 1 scrub.
Mm-hmm.
That's because like one bad apple is going to ruin the whole bunch all the way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And again, I was big on this in the offseason and people were killing me for it, but it's kind of coming to fruition right now. Imagine had they gone this route. They signed Corey Linsley, who was a Pro Bowl center, and they signed a player like Riley Reif. Now you've still got a really good center, a better center than what you have by a mile right now. And over the long haul, you're younger that way and actually cheaper than the way that you did it this way around. You still have a serviceable left tackle, right? So to me, that would have been a much better way to go. And now you're in this big contract with Trent Williams, and Trent is great. He's a great individual contributor, but he's not good enough to make everybody else around him better, especially if they're on the far end of that line. And I think you bring up a hell of a point there, man.
As a lineman, you can only do one thing at a time. You're not a quarterback. You can't make other people better. And unfortunately, I mean, I'm sure he wish he could, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and multiple people are saying that they're worried about Mac. Should have drafted Wirfs. I mean, these are things that people are
Tristan
saying.
Wirfs looking great with Brady.
God, yeah, right. Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this: Would you pull the plug on McGlinchey and just roll with Moore? Like, if it was up to you, are you willing to see what Moore has, or do you think it's a little bit too early?
Like I've already seen what McGlinchey has for 2 years. Like I gave him the benefit of the doubt last year just because he was smaller and he kind of beefed up.
Mm-hmm.
And watching that, who was the last time? Who did he play last? He was just committing penalties. He couldn't hold his guy. The Cardinals were killing him. The Cardinals were killing Trent Williams too. But I just kept seeing him again and again. I kept thinking about what he said. Oh, people just see one play and they react. And so I kept that in mind, but I just kept seeing plays with him. So how can I argue against that?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right about that. And Mike, who's actually next, comments and brought up the whole Jalen Moore situation right there. He's on the same page with us. So yeah, man, it's crazy. No, it definitely can't. The problem is Mac is probably the worst of all of them right now. And that sucks to say. I don't know if you watch that Seattle game at all, but I was enamored with the way that Pittsburgh's center was snapping the ball and how quickly it got to the quarterback. And it was one of those things that I always just took for granted that every NFL center could snap the ball that way. Mac snaps floaters. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, but it's hard to watch.
Right. Oh, okay. I did watch it. I didn't really notice that, but that's a good thing to be watching.
Just pay attention now. Now that you've seen Mac snap the ball, just look at other centers. It's not supposed to be like
especially
that.
In the shotgun. You have to be good at that and hold your block. That's a lot of duty.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there one more thing you wanted to get to, man? You waited.
I just want to say, why not just put in Ambry Thomas too for the same reason? Like we got a talented guy out there. Sure, he's messing up, but it's not getting any better with Josh Norman.
No, listen, I mean, the whole thing is with this draft class is I feel like they decided they wanted to try to redshirt everybody, and the team wasn't good enough for that. You needed contributors for this team, and you're seeing it now where the depth wasn't great. And you're in a situation right now where you could be playing these guys, right? And you should be playing these guys and developing them, but they're unwilling to do so. They're still trying to hold on to the season, which I understand it's a win now business. But if things go awry here over the next couple of weeks, you've got to get all of these guys, 8 to 10 weeks of playing time and make sure that they're ready for next season because it's going to be very important.
Yeah, cool, man. Hey, Jesse, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Hey, Viet, thank you so much for calling in. I hope you can make it next Tuesday, and go Niners.
Oh, yeah, I will. Go Niners.
All right, man. All right, let me get to Mr. Mike Miller, and then I'm going to go to James and then Eric. So hang tight, guys. I appreciate you guys calling in. Mike, you just got the flu shot, it sounds like. What's going on, man? You
I'm not fine. I'm just sleepy. That's all.
I got you. A little tired?
Yeah.
I feel
No,
it.
I wanted to bring up something about John Lynch versus Kyle Shanahan, who really runs the team. And there's some things that make me know that John Lynch is the boss of everything, and it's his way or the highway. Everybody from ESPN to NFL Network that has any credibility knew we were drafting Mac Jones. We all know that it came out that Kyle wanted Mac Jones. John and them said, no, it's going to be this guy or the highway, basically. And him and Jed York basically run the team, and that's why we ended up with Trey Lance. Yes, I'm happy we got Trey Lance. I think he's going to be the best quarterback eventually. And, so basically everybody, in the group and stuff like that, my group and stuff, all say, well, no, it's Kyle Shanahan that drafts all this or whatever. No, it's been John Lynch that has made every draft pick we've ever drafted. It's obvious when the quarterback guru supposedly Kyle Shanahan, once this quarterback doesn't get it, he has to be stuck with this other quarterback. So it's obvious. I just wanted to point it out. John runs the team. Kyle don't have he may have say-so, but the draft picks all ran through John Lynch, period.
Yeah, I don't know, Mike. I think I'm on a little bit different wavelength with you on this one. So here's my thought process. They did say that Kyle was going to be able to make that pick, right? And I agree with you. I think that he did want Mac, but I think the issue is that everybody else in the organization did want to go with Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance was number 2 on Kyle's list. And Kyle just said, listen, as the leader of this organization, I can go against everybody, or I can do what a leader does, go with a guy that I also like, who's my number 2, but make everybody else happy around it. And we'll develop this kid together. I think that's what ended up happening there. I also know that Ambry Thomas, or it seems like from what I've heard, Ambry Thomas was a Adam Peters pick. We'll see how that goes. And as far as the rest of them, I don't know. Yeah, listen, either way, it doesn't matter who's making these picks. At the end of the day, they haven't been good. So let's hope that we're right about Trey Lance being good, because if not, this franchise is in a world of hurt.
Yeah. And there's a trade going around, rumors, whatever, Jimmy G to Cleveland for Odell Beckham Jr. I'd rather have Denzel Ward, their star cornerback, for Jimmy G, and throw Kittle in with it and get their tight end back, who's $5 million cheaper.
Okay.
And we get one of the top 5 corners in the league.
I would love for that to happen. I don't see them giving him up, but of course I would do that trade. The funny thing about this Odell Beckham thing is Odell is always being floated out there as far as being traded, and it always seems like San Francisco comes up. Odell doesn't make any sense for the 49ers right now whatsoever, but that is a player that they want to get rid of that contract.
Kittle for Denzel Ward.
But listen, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Straight up trade.
I would do that in a heartbeat. They probably, I cannot see them doing that. But here's what I'll say is the OBJ for Jimmy thing. Do I think it happens? No. But is it a viable option? Yeah, I think it is for both teams. They obviously want to get out from under OBJ. We would love to get out from under Jimmy's contract at some point. That one might be a possibility
for trade. That's it.
I know. The problem is, it and I know it. If Jimmy starts this week, chances are they beat the Colts. Chances are they beat the Bears. And now everybody's going, we'll see, Jimmy's the guy to lead us back, and he'll start the rest of the season.
I guarantee you, if Jimmy starts, we lose to Indy.
You think so? You think they're going to lose to Indy this week?
I don't see us beating Buckner.
Oh, man.
Buckner's going to come in with some hate and revenge. Watch Buckner have about a 3 to 4 sack game.
Oh, dude, oh my gosh.
And you know what? I wouldn't care less, because Buckner was my guy.
I love Buckner.
Over that.
Buckner was so good and such a leader of this organization.
That was the Babe Ruth trade of football.
Dude, it's funny that you say that, because that was what I was thinking. I'm like, man, are the 49ers cursed? Like, is this going to be the Buckner curse that we talk about in 10 years from now? The DeForest Buckner curse? My gosh, man, I hope you're wrong about that.
I hope I'm wrong too. But I still say Jimmy G, we're going to lose to Indy, and you have a good night. I'm crawling in bed.
All right, brother. You have a good
All
night.
right, later.
Oh, I love Mike, man. He's just not afraid to say what's on his mind. I disagree with him so much on so many things, but listen, he's just not afraid to say it. So I got to give him credit for that. Let me bring in James, and we'll go to Eric, and then we're going to go to my guy, Nick, Mr. 49er Faithful 365 from Nothing But Niners. Go give him some love. I'm bringing James right now. James, what's going on, my guy?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you, man. You sound
Okay,
fantastic.
Cool. So I want to talk about the Colts game a little bit, but before that, did you see, I think it was JT O'Sullivan that did a breakdown of Trey's game against Arizona, and he highlighted that use check play where Juice came in and did the sneak again. And he said, why not just have use check pitch it to Trey? Because if you see that play, Trent Williams starts to peel out and Trey has like 40 yards of running space. You would think that'd be something that Kyle would dip into his bag and do if he were creative. And it's just frustrating to see. Like, I never played football, and that would be like something that I could pick up on. Like, come on, let's mix this up a little bit. And that's just kind of frustrating to see. But
you know what's crazy?
That would be a sweet play.
I'm not sold that wasn't what they were trying to do, right? If you look at it, because you're right, Trent Williams peels away. Trey Lance, and I forget who the running back was back there with him. I don't know if it was Mitchell or whatever. They take a step to the left, like that's something that they were actually trying to do. And Kyle said after the game they didn't execute that play properly, and he didn't get into what it was exactly. Maybe that was the play call, and it would have been a hell of a play call if that was the case. And for whatever reason, Juszczyk went a little rogue on it. I don't know.
Yeah, that would suck if, honestly, even if that play is an option for Juszczyk, like, no, just pitch it to Trey. Like, that shouldn't be an option. Just anyway. So about the Colts game, I am also a little pessimistic, but if I were to put my positive hat on, I think there's a couple things that could be at play here. One, Jimmy starting could be a sign of Kyle trying to raise his stock again, kind of fatten him up before the trade line, because we have 2 winnable games before the trade deadline. If Jimmy goes 2-0, maybe someone bites and we can pull a trade off. Also, with what Michael Miller was saying, that Jimmy's just going to get pounded. You know, Jimmy has those quicker throws. He can actually hit the checkdowns that Trey missed. I think if Jimmy does start against the Colts, not that I want him to, I really don't. I'm a Trey Lance guy, but if Jimmy does start, I don't think it's an automatic loss. I think if he can get those shorter passes off, because that D-line is ferocious and they're going to be coming at him, but he's got to get rid of that ball quickly. Their cornerback, I think, Rhodes, he's going to shut down Debo. Kyle would not give Trey the gimmies, but he will give the gimmies to Jimmy. So if Jimmy plays, he'll get the gimmies, and we can patch together a decent offense like we did all of last year when Jimmy was healthy. But if Trey plays, he's just going to get pounded by this defense, I think.
Yeah, listen, for whatever reason, they will not give him a lot of those throws. You know, I've said it before. Trey to this point during the season is 68% passing, 10 yards and under. Last week, he was 10 of 14 passing, and that was with 2 drops, 10 yards and under. You know, they just won't do it. And K-Dot asks a question. He says, Jesse, what are your thoughts on Kyle? Why would he run Trey 16 times, which is way more than any running back?
Well, 12,
your guess is as good as mine. I think 11 or 12 of those were actually designed runs. Obviously, he has the option on the other ones and took off, you know, because the pocket closed down on him. But the game plan was absolutely atrocious. They did not treat him at all like a quarterback. They treated him like a running back. And, you know, for the life of me, I can't understand why that was the case.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, and then you can get to other callers. The Colts, I mean, they're going to have T.Y. Hilton back probably. I know he had a little, I think, strain or injury at the end of the game, but it seems like he'll be okay. Sounds like Quentin Nelson's going to be back potentially.
Yeah, that
I know
sucks.
Campbell's not. I know Paris Campbell's hurt probably for the year, but, you know, Carson Wentz, PFF, you know, player of the player of the week. You can take that with a big grain of salt. I know it's PFF, but for what it's worth, he was player of the week. Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about this game. I'm hoping Kyle kind of had a come to Jesus moment over the week and comes out with a real game plan. But I've been predicting that we'll lose 23-17 because I can't see our offense putting points on the board.
Man, if I'll tell you this, if they don't find a way to put up points coming out of a bye week, that'd be atrocious. I mean, Kyle, you're supposed to be an offensive genius. You have not shown that thus far this year. They've got to come out not only and put up points in the first half. That first drive is going to be really, really, really crucial. And I'm curious to see how it holds up because this is the first drive that you've put together after a bye week. It has to be perfect. And I'm not sure it will be, but that's the way it's got to be.
You know what I'd love for it to be? That first drive that the Rams had against us in LA last week where they ran it like 7 times in a row and scored a touchdown. That's all you got to do. Get back to the run game.
Yep.
And we'll be fine. But anyway, I'll let you go. Get to other callers. Thanks for having me on, Jesse.
Hey, James, thanks for coming on. Hopefully you can call in next week, and hopefully the Niners get a win this week. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Go Tom Compton. Let's do this.
Later, man. Oh, that was good. All right, let me bring in Eric. Eric, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. Glad that you're back.
Hey, thank you, brother. It's been a little bit of a journey, but I'm glad that we're back as well.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about perception versus kind of reality.
Okay, yeah, let's throw it out there.
People are always bringing up all these trade scenarios and like what we can get for Jimmy or Debo or Kittle or whatever, and thinking, oh, we can get 2 or 3 first-round picks or whatever. I just want all that talk to stop because reality is if we don't want them, what makes you think other people want them? And we'll be willing to give up all this stuff just to get them. And I don't know, it just kind of drives me crazy that everyone thinks that we can get like 2 first-round picks for Kittle and Debo or whoever.
Yeah, man, listen, I mean, I think there's some guys that definitely have some trade value, but it's tough, right? Like you look at a Kittle, and Kittle stays injured. Like that's just the reality of the situation. And, Jimmy's just not worth anything near that, and that's why I look at that Browns trade. And while I don't think Jimmy goes anywhere this year, I think it's too late for that, unfortunately. But if he was to go anywhere, that Browns trade kind of makes sense. The 49ers may not need another receiver. They may not want OBJ, but the Browns clearly don't want him either. And, those are 2 bigger contracts that they can just kind of say, hey, here's our problem. Let's swap it. The difference is, though, Eric, is that we as 49er fans look at Jimmy as a problem. I'm not sure the 49ers look at Jimmy as a problem, and that's probably why he stays on the team the rest of the season.
Right. I just look at it as they think of it's kind of like baseball cards where you look at the price guide and you think, oh, this is the price on the card, but you can never find a seller that'll buy it for whatever that price is. And I think everyone's just overvaluing the prices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And the thing is the value is what other people are willing to give you. Like the 49ers already said that they wanted to trade Jimmy in the offseason and they wanted to get a first or a second rounder for him. Well, clearly nobody was even anywhere near that because that's not the value that he holds out on the open market. If it was the value he held, he'd be gone at this point. So you don't get to decide the value as a seller. The buyer gets to decide what that value is.
Exactly. Okay, my other thing is, I do support Kyle, and I want him to do well, but
yes.
I just think the talk about him taking us to the Super Bowl, and that's the reason why we can't fire him, just needs to stop. Since 1994, which is when the salary cap started, do you know how many losing Super Bowl coaches there have been? Different losing Super Bowl coaches. There have been 20.
Okay.
Do you know how many went on to win a Super Bowl?
None.
2.
Two?
There were
Okay.
2.
God, I was way too
One
pessimistic on that.
is Bill Belichick, but he had
Okay.
won a few before he lost.
Okay.
Or actually, sorry, it's 3. Another is Andy Reid, but he won on a different team.
I should have known. I should have known Andy Reid. Yeah. Okay.
So does that really count?
Right.
The only one that actually won one with the team that he was with is Bill Cowher, and that took 10 years from when he lost to when he won. So just because we can get to the Super Bowl with a coach doesn't mean we can win one.
You know what? Listen, that's exactly it. I think that's a hell of a stat. I had never actually looked that up. And again, you're talking about, so you said it was Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, and Bill Cowher. I don't know about you, but to me, those 3 guys are Hall of Fame coaches, like period, point blank. We're talking about 3 of the top 20 coaches probably of all time that you just named. Is Kyle Shanahan anywhere near that at this point? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, man,
actually, it was 22, but I took off Shanahan and McVay because I want to give them a chance to come back.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, they're still with the team, right? So it makes sense that they would have a chance at it. But man, that's an eye-opening. That's an eye-opening stat you just threw out at me.
All right, that's all I wanted to talk about because I just hear the Super Bowl so much. And
yeah. Well, listen, the 49ers, more than anything, they're the ones that gave a extension to Kyle after that Super Bowl appearance. Again, I threw out the stat earlier, out of 191 coaches that have coached at least 50 games in the NFL, he ranks 128 in win percentage. Harbaugh ranked 5th and he got fired. So, Shanahan got an extension. So here we are. So Eric, thank you so much for the call, man. That was a hell of a stat. Hopefully the Niners can pull it off this weekend, and hopefully you can call in next Tuesday. All right.
All right. Thanks.
All right, brother. Have a good one. The Rombo, hold on, I gotta see what this says. The Rombo callers, Niners source always said the reason Ayuk is in the doghouse is he disagrees with Kyle about the offense. He wants more long throws, stretch the field. He also criticized Jimmy. I mean, I don't know how true that is, but my gosh, that sure does add up, right? It's tough to say, but the long throws make a lot of sense because Trey Lance, by the way, I think Ayuk prefers Trey Lance, and guess who can throw the deep ball? So, Nick, are you ready for me to come to you? You good? I'm gonna go to you anyways. Hopefully you're available. What's up, Nick?
What up, big dog?
Shoot, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I got to watch a little bit of your guys' show tonight with Mose, my dude Mose.
Yeah,
I don't know
Mose
if you know
is a
that,
good guy,
but me
man.
and him have been friends for, I don't know how many years. We live in the same area, and so
the more and more that I find out about you. By the way, this is Nick from Nothing But Niners, so I know that the chat knows who you are. A little bit different when they can't see the face, obviously. But this is Nick from Nothing But Niners. If you are not subscribed, go to subscribe to him. He and Mike are some OGs in this game. And every time that I talk to you, Nick, the more and more I learn about how you are a linchpin to this community. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. So
you had a show tonight too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I jumped on for a little bit. I got kind of caught up at work though, and then now I got some free time again until I get off. So I figured I'd chime in with you. And
well, listen, I don't have any other callers lined up right now, so you and I might be going for a while. Or I'm sure that this is the way it always works. If we have a little lull, then 5 or 6 will call on at the same time. So link is in the description. It is also pinned or should be pinned at the top of the chat. So make sure that you call in if you want to sound off. Otherwise, I mean, shoot, I might get to sleep before midnight. And that would be crazy on a Tuesday night Niner call-in show. So let's see if we can get this thing cracking. All right. So Nick, you and I talk all the time. We just talked yesterday on your show, in fact. But we've got this Colts game coming up, and this is not one that we have talked about. So with that being said, how do you see this game going on Sunday? Just, early prediction. What are your thoughts? What are some of the things to look out for? And why does it go the way that you think it's going to go?
Well, I mean, you look at how this offense has functioned throughout the first 5 weeks, and you have to sit back and say that you hope that Kyle Shanahan kind of looked in the mirror and kind of reflected on some of the things in the first 5 weeks, and you hope that he comes out with, a strategical game plan to beat the Indianapolis Colts, right? And now it's funny because this team was not doing well prior to the last 2 weeks. And for some reason, Carson Wentz just came out, started the ball. Quentin Nelson's going to be back. Obviously, T.Y. Hilton's back. He does have a strain of some sort from the end of the game last week, but he should be okay. I mean, you got Jonathan Taylor there, who's just a beast. Love that kid. And then, you on the defensive side, you got a couple, good defensive players. I mean, I keep hearing people say, what's up, Bob? I keep hearing people say that, this is a revenge game for DeForest Buckner. Like, I don't understand why people say it's going to be a revenge game for DeForest Buckner, as he kind of sold his way out of San Francisco. People saying that he's going to have, I heard one of your callers say he's going to have 3 or 4 sacks. I don't know if they know that DeForest Buckner only has 1 sack on the entire year right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see that big of a game from DeForest Buckner. A big thing that will help the 49ers against DeForest Buckner is they know him. They know what he is. Linemen know what he is, and be able to control that. But going back, I think defensively, I seen one of your Paul Perryman. Love you too, bro. So I saw one of your callers say that it's not going to be the offense that makes us lose this game. It's going to be the secondary. Me and you just looked up the secondary the other night, and to my surprise, the 49ers are second in passing yards allowed. We sat there and we talked about the secondary and how it was one of the most surprising things on this team going in to this year, and that I'm not really worried about. Like, I'm not really worried about the secondary. I think I'm more worried about the run game compared to the secondary. We haven't been very good. We've been allowing 113.8 yards per game rushing yards, which is 18th in the league, which is funny because I just looked that up tonight. Do you want to take a guess real quick who you would think is the number 1 rush defense in the NFL right now and how many yards they're allowing per game?
Oh, gosh. I don't know why, but I want to go with something crazy, like a team that usually gets beat up in the run game, like the Packers. And I'm going to go 78 yards a game.
All right, so it's Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And they're only allowing 56.8 yards per game.
My God, dude. I should have known it was Tampa. I mean, I was just talking about them earlier on Mo's show about how nobody can run the ball against them. But you made it sound like it was something way out of the right field.
No,
or
I'm
left
just saying,
field.
like,
So
it's just surprising, only 56.8 yards per game.
Vita Vea, man, he's a one-man wrecking crew up the middle. That guy is incredible.
You are 100%
absolutely
right
insane.
Do you want to take a guess where the Arizona Cardinals are ranked?
Oh, they got to be. I mean, I was going to say either them or Green Bay were so I got to say number 2, maybe.
They're ranked 23rd.
Even after that 49er game, because we didn't run the ball worth it. Well, I guess with Trey you did. Yeah, you know what? They were giving up 5 yards a clip going into it, and they still couldn't run the ball against them.
Yeah, they're giving up 128.6 or something like that per game.
That's not good.
Just some interesting stats. So
that's not good.
But no, I mean, the thing I'm worried about the most, obviously, is getting some type of identity on offense. We have to be able to run the football. I do agree with the last caller saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is probably a better quarterback for this game due to the fact that he can get the ball out a lot faster against a pass rush. But I'm not going to agree that I want Jimmy out there because I'd rather just see Trey out there. So
Yeah.
I think Trey brings a different aspect to the entire game where it's 11-on-11 football. And I think if we utilize our running backs the correct way with Trey and utilize Trey correctly under center, not in shotgun 95% of the time, I think that benefits the 49ers offensively. But let's be real. Kyle Shanahan is going to stay with his guy in Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the guy going into this game. Do I think that he can win this game? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think that the 49ers have to, I would say that the 49ers have to rush for not just a single rusher, but I would say the 49ers would have to rush for 160 yards total to even be considered to be in this game.
Whoa. All right. So you were talking about the run game on both sides. Are you going to be available? Because I do have another caller and I want to come back to this because I'm right there with you. I think the run game of the Colts is going to be key in this game. And they're getting Nelson back and the 49ers are susceptible to be rained on. So I want to talk about some of the keys of this game. But I don't want to make Chenille wait forever. So let me get to them and then I'll get back to you. All right,
yeah,
brother?
You're good. Go ahead.
All right. Chenille, thank you so much for waiting. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing good. What's the word?
I wanted to pull another interesting stat that the Super Bowl loser, and this is only in the NFC, the Super Bowl loser that loses the Super Bowl their first try, the quarterback, doesn't really come back. If you notice with Jimmy Garoppolo, Cam Newton, Rex Grossman, the list goes on and on. So I really don't think Jimmy will be back there unless we go for another quarterback that has been there. You know, maybe Trey Lance could take us. Who knows?
You know what? And I want to bring up another point, and I wish I had the numbers in front of me, Chenille. Am I saying your name right, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Right. Okay. So I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but I want to say since 1988, there's been only 6 quarterbacks that are not Hall of Fame worthy quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl. 6 quarterbacks. And there was only 3, I believe, 3 or 4 that have not at least made one Pro Bowl. So the likelihood of a quarterback of Jimmy's caliber to win a Super Bowl, just when you go back to 1988, which, I mean, that's a large sample size. We're talking, 33, almost 33 years now. That's not good. Your chances aren't good. Now, these guys tend to make it to the Super Bowl, but they don't win. And now you add in your stat where basically once you make it there and you lose, you do not win. If you hadn't won prior, man, that's pretty tough to believe that the 49ers have any realistic shot, especially at 2-3 of winning a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm.
And I've always seen it. Every single team that say, that they have that spirit, they say, yeah, we're going to be back. We're going to be back. I never seen it. It only happens in the AFC. It never happens in the NFC side.
Well, listen, I mean, even then, let's look at Kansas City, right? You're talking about a team that had been to the Super Bowl twice, okay, in a row. They, on paper, looked better this year than they had the previous 2 years. And they're struggling out the gate. They just now got their 3rd win. They're 3-3. Their defense looks absolutely atrocious. Their offense hasn't moved the ball the way that we're used to seeing. It's tough, man. It's really hard to win in the NFL. And especially when the book is out on you, when you make a deep run, everybody has eyes on you. Everybody is scheming for you, and everybody wants to give you their best shot the next year because they know how good you are. You're no longer sneaking up on teams. So once the book is out, Can you make those adjustments, especially after losing? It's hard to climb up that mountain, and it's just, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to win in the NFL. So yeah, I see where you're coming from.
And like some callers said, and I think a friend of mine, Will, even said it, you don't pay the quarterback right away. And I've said it as well. You don't pay the quarterback yet until he has won you the big one. He hadn't won us the big one. We had a small sample size of the 4 or 5 games that he played. And these guys just went right ahead and gave him a big deal. We should have just tagged him and waited, or just, they had a chance to get Mahomes, and they wanted Kirk Cousins. So if they wanted Kirk Cousins, why did John Lynch gave Kyle Shanahan the alternative option to go after Jimmy? If they want Kirk, go for Kirk. Why are you changing it up now?
There has been no continuity, Chenille, when it comes to the quarterback position on this team. And it is the most important position. And you're right. That's where it starts, right? You pass up on Watson. You pass up on Mahomes because you were so enthralled with Kirk Cousins, which is fantastic, right? I'm cool with that. But then go get Kirk Cousins. Don't go 10 games into the season, your first season, and bail on that plan. And then, to make matters worse, you draft no other quarterbacks other than CJ Beathard. And now you're in a position where you don't like Jimmy. You passed up on Tom Brady, and you are desperate. So what do? You go from 12-3. You mortgage the whole farm to do so. And now there's talks that maybe you didn't even take your guy again. I don't know what the hell's going on with the with Shanahan and the quarterback situation. It's crazy.
Right. And when we were in the Super Bowl, we should have won it. There's no guarantee going back. I mean, if you're there, like we've seen Joe Flacco did it, right? We've seen Joe Flacco did. Nick Foles had a chance and he won. You're gonna have to go with the guy that's there, and you have to win it. I don't know if we're gonna go back or not this year, man. I really don't think we are, because the stat. My stat has already proved that it hasn't, and people keep denying it and want to think otherwise. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Melissa, you bring up a good point. You definitely couldn't have been seasoned, but at the end of that season is where you could have made that move. And, we saw it, right? They made a trade with Washington. I get it was years later, but going out and getting Trent Williams, listen, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. You may not like another guy at another organization, but at the end of the day, if you can give them something that makes sense, they have to play ball. That's just the way that it is. I do want to shout this out. I don't know how many are watching on YouTube, but all in from all the platforms, we have exactly 49 people watching. Maybe that's a good omen for this Sunday. So there we go. Anything else on your mind, Chenille?
Shout out to the Niner Empire. Thank you for the platform, Jesse. You have a good night. Sorry about what happened to your channel. I hope you get your subscribers.
Hey, thank you, man. You know what? Subscribers will come back. Like I said, the relationships that I've built throughout this hold way more weight. It's just the content, man. That's what I miss the most. That was 8 months of content just right out the window. So, but we'll get it back, man. Thank you so much for supporting. Thank you so much for calling in. And I appreciate the hell out of you. Go Niners. And hopefully I hear from you next week. All right.
Go Niners. Hope to call soon. Have a good night.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You too. All right, let me get back to Nick. Nick at Night. That's the show we did last night on his platform, his Patreon. That was a lot of fun. Nick, you back? You good?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, so when you were on a minute ago, you and I were discussing the game this weekend, the run game in particular with the Colts, right? And the Colts can run the ball really well. They're getting Quentin Nelson back, okay? Quentin Nelson, for my money, is the best guard in the game, period. And, listen, if they can run the ball on the 49ers like I expect they can, this could be a long game for San Francisco. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, Quentin Nelson coming back, Carson Wentz playing a lot better, the last 2 games. and then obviously getting T.Y. Hilton back is a big jump for their offense, right?
Absolutely.
So, and then you just have the beast. Like I said, man, I'm a huge Jonathan Taylor fan. Like, I think the dude is just a beast. Like, he just plays. He does get some injuries here and there, but he plays physical, right? So, it's. Do I think that we need to stop the run to win? Yes, I do. Because I think if we can stop the run, I kind of look at Carson Wentz the same as I look at Jared Goff. He's a one-dimensional guy. So I think if you can stop the run there and put the pressure on Carson Wentz, he'll start to make those mistakes like Jared Goff makes. He'll throw the football up. He'll try to get outside the pocket. While he is mobile, I mean, he is coming off of 2 sprained ankles, not 1, 2 sprained ankles. So I do think that you have to stop the run in order to win this football game. I would say no more than I would say no more than 115 yards rushing.
Yeah, I was going to go about 120. I think that's the mark, right? Yeah. Like, you can't expect to stop these guys completely. They're going to run the ball. Taylor is really, really good. Really good. That offensive line, especially in the interior, is very strong. And the 49ers have been gutted a little bit up the middle. So, I'm curious to see how this plays out. But that's what worries me the most. I think passing-wise, the 49ers can hold them in check a little bit. I do think Wentz is better than what people usually give him credit for. But overall, I think that run game is what is most important on both sides of the ball. And you talked about it earlier. The 49ers, for all intents and purposes, also have to run the ball, period.
Correct.
So this cannot be one of those games where we don't know, what's happening with the offense. What is their identity? No. You've got to run the ball this week, period.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. You have to be able to run the football, whether it's Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell, even bringing in Trey Lance. And I think that now that Trey Lance has played a quarter or a game and a half, I think you should start utilizing those packages that you supposedly have for him. Bring him in on first downs. Bring him in on second downs. Bring him in on some third downs. Don't just utilize him in the red zone, right? Like, start opening up the playbook a little bit for him and allow him to come in when least expected, to be able to either run the football or throw the football. Now, this obviously is based off of his health too. What's up, Javi? Let's see, Javi's up.
Hey, you know what? Here, you know what? Coat. Hold on a second. I'm gonna get to CG in a minute. Javi's calling in. Can you hang around, Nick? Yeah. Because I want to get to CG. I want to pump his platform as well. I like what CG's got going on. Give him a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then Javi is also now waiting in the back. We'll just turn it into a 3-man show here after we get to CG. You good with that?
Yes, I'm good. Let's do it.
All right. Let me get to CG, man. Hold on. Mr. Ruthless. Bring in the brutal truth. What's up, my guy? How are you? You were always brutally honest. I love it.
Yeah, you must have you missed the round table. I was getting really aggressive on the Seattle fan, but it was pretty fun today. But yeah, in all seriously, man, the chances of us beating the Colts, the chances of us beating the Colts, man, it's gotta have to take a lot of defense, but offensively, we gotta score more than 30 points at least. Because I just don't know, man.
Bro, okay. So here's the thing, right? We're coming off of a bye week, and we're about to see if Kyle can be in his bag. Like, I get it. It's been a rough start to this point in the season, right? But right now, you just had 2 full weeks to get ready. I'm very curious to see not only how the first half goes, but how the hell that first drive goes. That first drive is going to be real crucial to this offense, CG.
Yeah, it will have to determine, because if we get a fresh bye, which gives us enough time to be fresh and get some players coming off an injury, so that should be able to give us more of an advantage. But is JaMychal Hasty going to play? Because maybe that might be the X factor. If our running game is good as it is, I think we have a chance to play a very close game, but I'm not putting my hopes up there, man. I'm lowering this expectation because I think the Colts are exactly as good as they are, but don't let the record indicate them, because I think they're actually starting to find the rhythm a little bit.
Well, you look at some of their losses too. They've lost to some really good teams. I mean, they almost beat the Ravens, and we just saw what the Ravens did to the Chargers. I mean, my gosh, this team is better than what people want to give it credit for. And Carson Wentz, quite frankly, is better than what people want to believe he is as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just think that him going with Frank Wright is a good beneficial for him to go to the Colts. But the one thing that may be the most concerning factor when we play against the Colts is DeForest Buckner, man. He's going to want his payback. I mean, I'm just concerned, how is our line going to hold up against DeForest Buckner and that D-line, bro? It's going to be kind of intriguing matchup.
Yeah, do you think so some people came in here, they were making some really bold predictions, and they were saying that they believe that Buckner is going to have multiple sacks this game. Do you think that that's a possibility? Do you think that's what we're looking at?
Well, to be brutally honest about this, man. So Brunskill and our center, Alex Mack, I'm sorry. I think Buckner's going to have a pretty good game. Not like an Aaron Donald type performance, but a solid performance to where he puts on maybe like 2 sacks, maybe. But I think he's going to have something to prove.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do not like that matchup with the interior offensive line, especially on that right-hand side with Brunskill, Mack. I know. It's crazy, right? Because you have those mixed feelings. I don't usually root for players, especially when they leave. You know, I kind of move on and I'm rooting for the team. But Buckner's just a little bit different, man. I feel like Buckner's one of those good guys, and you don't really truly know these guys, but he comes across as one of those really good guys, a really good leader. I'm rooting for him. So it'd be kind of cool if he had a good little game, but obviously the 49ers win also.
Yeah, we all want to hope the Niners win. But in all perspective, I think this is a homecoming game for Buckner to prove to the front office that you made a mistake instead of keeping Armstead, who I think is really overpaid for what he is. But I'm still, Buckner's kind of like that person we dumped for no reason, and we kept Armstead, who's just, he only benefited because of the best defensive line we had. So if you take away what Armstead had before, you see below average production. And I know he's a solid run stopper, but when we pay this guy $17.5 million to get to the quarterback, we expect that production out of the guy. But Buckner, for whatever reason, he's worth every penny. And I think the Colts just really got themselves something good out of this guy.
Yeah, I mean, think about it like this too. There's a lot more that goes into it, right? It's not just your on-field play. Like, this guy was a leader in the locker room, and everybody under the sun said that and agrees with that. So, when you lose a piece like that, the leadership, you couple that with losing Saleh, and obviously the defense has overperformed in my opinion. I think that DeMeco Ryans has been fantastic, but there's just that level of mystique, that leadership, that swagger that you can bring to the locker room. And then you also couple that with losing Sherman. I just don't know where the leadership is on this team as a whole. And I think it was strictly on the defensive side more so than anything. And they've lost that.
Yeah, they lost veteran leadership with guys like that. I mean, Buckner was a huge loss when it comes to defensive line, and the opposing offensive line had to demand double team with this guy. So when you lose a guy like Sherman, who was a voice in the locker room, that's tough to replace. And then you're expecting somebody like Fred Warner to step into the plate, which he's doing a really good job, but there's no other veterans out there. So you're expecting these guys to fill in the shoes when it's really hard to do. But yeah, that's how I feel. But it's like it's just young players. But any other way, man, we just got to find that void. It's going to be tough.
Let me before I let you go, CG. What's your score prediction on this one?
What's my score prediction? Man, I don't want to sound like low in expectation, but if we don't play good on offense, man, we gotta wake up. But
yeah,
in all seriously, I say 17-28, the Colts, man. It's just, I don't know, man. I got to see the offense proving me wrong, and I can't just kiss up and say, oh, we're going to win. No. I gotta see it to believe it. So maybe in the near future, whenever you got a free time, I want you to go on my stream one day, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. We can do it there, here, doesn't matter. Make sure you subscribe to CG Ruthless Sports. One of the good guys. I really enjoy CG. I've been on his channel before. He's, like I said, he's one of the good guys out there. I enjoy his stuff, and he's different. He brings a little bit of a different flavor, and I like that. You got to set yourself apart in this game, and CG definitely does that. But he does it from a fan standpoint, brings a lot of passion to the game, and I appreciate you, CG. We'll talk, man. Just hit my DMs, all right?
All right, man, for sure, man. Have a good one.
All right, brother. You have a good one. Okay, let me get this banner out of the way. Obviously, I've got two guys on the line here that I trust the hell out of. So I'm going to roll to them. I'm going to bring in Javi.
Yo.
And I'm going to bring in Nick from Nothing But Niners. This is an all-star cast all of a sudden that is rolled up on this show. I appreciate the hell out of both of you guys for calling in.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I got you, Javi.
Okay.
I got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm just downstairs in my living room, just doing some pod prep for tomorrow, doing some Colts and Niner pregame stuff. There's no dick pics coming up here. Like, oh man,
it's funny that you say that because the only other time that you called in was that show.
It was right before I came on. I was like,
right
what is
before
going
that.
on?
God, hindsight's 2020, right? Like I should have just cut the stream.
I'm over here quote tweeting Grant Cohn because he's over here starting shit with a quote from 2017 with Kyle Shanahan and the 2-quarterback system and difference in quarterbacks and shit. It's just funny.
Hey, well, listen, nobody riles him up the way that Grant riles him up, right?
Yeah, I get what he's trying to do. I get it. Mm-hmm. But we know, we kind of know where this is going with the Niners, right? Like there's an end date to this Jimmy Garoppolo thing. Like it's end. There's a hard line in this the end of it. So we'll get there when we get there.
There's like 1 foot over it right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to come to an end.
Yeah. Obviously. I mean, if it doesn't come to an end the next 2 weeks, it's coming to the end at the end of the season. It doesn't matter, right? Yeah. You don't invest 3 first-round picks to not move on, right? This isn't the Green Bay thing. Green Bay, yeah, cool. They drafted Jordan Love late, and I think they traded back, and they got their guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a completely different situation. And it's not like the Niners are replacing Aaron Rodgers; they're replacing Jimmy Garoppolo. You know what I mean? And that's not to be disrespectful to Jimmy Garoppolo, because thank you for all you've done in helping getting the team back to where helping the team get to a Super Bowl, helping the team get into a winning situation. But when you miss that many games and your play isn't up to par for the amount of money that you're getting paid, that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
I was hopping on here because I was just listening, and I don't know. I think the Niners win this game. I was just looking over some stats here. The Colts DVOA rank on defense is 23rd. Yards per drive, 27th. Points per drive, 26th. Turnovers per drive, 5th. Drive success rate, 28th. Third down conversion rate, 14th. Red zone scoring percentage, 23rd. So if the 49ers cannot score against this defense, we probably have a bigger problem.
Javi,
right?
I don't know, man.
I don't trust this defense at all. I was watching their Colts tape. There's nothing that stands out about this defense. Cool, you beat a Texans team with Davis Mills. Cool, right? I know the Niners haven't beat anybody good either, right? The Niners opponents win-loss record is 2-10.
But
So
their
the
defense has looked good, though, right? The defense has looked good. That's
for the Colts.
No, for the Niners.
The Niners defense looks much better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No
so
Paris
that's
Campbell
something they
this
can
week.
hang their hat on.
No Paris Campbell this week. I think the only person that worries me is a Jonathan Taylor situation. Can the Niners maintain their gap integrity, and can they carry over that defensive effort from Arizona into this week? They should, right? Like no one got injured on defense. You're getting K'Wan Williams back. As far as your defensive interior, we don't know what's going on with Kinlaw. He had some weird Instagram story thing that popped up online. But otherwise, DJ Jones is healthy. for the most part, everyone else is healthy. Jordan Willis should be back this week. Like that's another key player that will help them out.
Is it now? Let me ask you this: was it 6 weeks or was it 6 game
I
suspension?
think it's 6 weeks, but it might be 6 games because kind of like the IR rule where you need to have 3 games missed instead of 3 weeks missed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe
Yeah,
he's
I'm
back.
not sure.
Maybe he's back versus Chicago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Either way, it's the bye week. It's crazy, right? Because when you look at the beginning of the season, Javi, we're like, shit, man, here's a bye week early on. This is not what we want. But reality is this bye week could not have come at a better time. I think it was perfect timing for the 49ers to get some things straight. And honestly, sitting in a three-game losing streak may not be the worst thing in the world. The team kind of needed to feel that sting a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. You got to lose. I mean, it's not you have to lose, but I didn't like I get it. The Niners are, the whole aura of 2019. Like that's just you got to let that go already. Like it has to stop. Like 2019, you got everything right when you needed to. You got a whole bunch of stuff to go your way during that 2019 playoff run during that season. You got to let that go, right? It's cool to run it back, but you can't keep running it back with the same players. Kyle, take your own words of advice here. Either you're getting better, or you're getting worse. You want to maintain this. You want to maintain the same roster. You're not getting better. And you're not getting worse. You're staying the same. Basically, you've turned this team into a Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Like you've maintained this level of just the same stuff. No turnovers, stupid penalties, and then of course your offense turns the ball over like it's going out of style. I was reading something. I want to say like the last 21 starts or something like that. Jimmy Garoppolo has 21 turnovers. Like it's a turnover a game.
Yep.
Right. The Niners are minus 40. Over since 2017 into turnover margin. Like you can't keep running this back. Like I get it. You like the players that you had, but at some point, listen, there's reasons Tart and K1 Williams weren't getting big money on the market because they have an injury concern. And look, K1 missed games because he's injured. I love Tart, but is he going to play? He's going to give you 12 games? I don't think so. Emmanuel Mosley, undrafted free agent. Part of why he went undrafted, injury concerns. He missed the first 3 games? You can't keep doing this to yourself. You can't keep going back and forth with this. Oh, let's just keep running it back and run it back. It's not time to run it back. It's time to get better. Be better about your draft evaluation. Be better about your free agency evaluation. All of it. You have to be better all the way through. So if the first step of doing that was to get rid of the quarterback, then okay, cool. You started that process. But now you need to go and say, look, I'm not going to go sign a 37-year-old center. Like that was to me, like I like the Alex Mack signing, but in no way is Alex Mack, the 2021 version, better than the 2018 version of Richburg. Like there's just those guys are not on the same tier at that point in their careers. You can't run it back with an older version when Richburg was playing outstanding ball in 18 and in 19 before he got hurt. And again, that guy got hurt, so maybe there's an eval process here. I had a week off of potting, and I had time to gather my thoughts, as you can see. But it's this team is very frustrating because you have the talent, you know what I mean? Like somebody I spoke to quite often, he was like, if you want to be a contending team, you got to have 5 blue chip players. The Niners have 5 blue chip players: Fred Warner, Trent Williams, George Kittle. You got to throw in. I lost it here. Debo's the other one, and then you can go and talk about Jimmy Ward. There's your 5, right?
Yep.
Then you add in these complementary pieces. Brandon Ayuk, whenever they decide to let him out of the doghouse or let him catch passes, that's another piece, right? Laken Tomlinson is another really key cog. DJ Jones, you have your 5, and then you have these really good complementary pieces, but you're lacking at your quarterback, both guys, and it's not just to shit on Jimmy Garoppolo because Lance isn't.
He's a rookie.
This is part of why I didn't like the Lance pick, but I'm okay with Lance being the quarterback here because he's gonna take the longest of the 5 to be where he needs to be. So it's just I'm going to this game on Sunday. I'm hoping they win. I'm not trying to travel from Texas to San Francisco. It's a quick 24-hour turnaround. You know what I mean?
I hear it's going to be pouring that day too.
Oh, dude, I'm drinking.
I heard it's going to be pouring right now. Like I was just talking to Hodge, and he was like, "Yeah, it's going to be pouring that day." So that's crazy, though, man.
You're not going to the game, are you, Nick?
No, not this
Okay.
week. I wish, but not this week.
Okay. I was
I'm
gonna say bring your flag if you do. Yeah, that was bad luck. What's up with that?
Yeah, I know, man. I know. But if it's raining, I definitely ain't wearing that shit.
No, definitely not. You got
We're
too
not
many
doing
signatures on it.
Yeah. But Javi, I mean, I completely agree with you, man. Like it's just but there is one thing that Kyle Shanahan always has said it, right? And you touched on it. It's like Kyle Shanahan has always said, if you're not getting better, like you're getting worse. You're not staying the same. Like you can't stay the same. But that's what this team is doing. They're staying the same. They're not how can I say this? They're not developing people either. Like they're not developing. Like why is Brandon Ayuk playing? He goes from 25% snaps to 50% snaps to 75 to 75 to 75, but he's only got 9 catches in 5 games. Like why? You're not going to tell me that there's another receiver second in line that's better than him on this football team.
Bro.
So, like you go and say, "Oh, well, Trent Sherfield has outplayed him," or whatever you want to say, right?
And then Sherfield doesn't get any. But
Sherfield's not getting any burn either. So, like, what is it, right? So, I mean, I wish. And then you ask John Lynch and you ask Kyle Shanahan, and they just say, "Oh, well, he hasn't taken the steps that we expect him to." And this goes back to what I was asking Eric Crocker in the beginning of the year: was do we feel like? Do we feel like? Yeah. Do we feel like Brandon Ayuk, whereas last year he was kind of thrown into the fire because there were so many injuries, that he came back complacent this year and wasn't really up to par to where the team wanted him to be last year. But we kind of seen how this offense moved with when we had to throw in a CJ Beathard or a Nick Mullins, or we had to put Kyle Juszczyk as a not Kyle Juszczyk, Ross Dwelly as a fullback, or just what Kyle Shanahan did last year and in 2019 to fill in for players that were hurt, right? So did Brandon Ayuk come in here and think like, okay, I know this already. Like I'm good. Like I don't want to say that he did that, but how much of this is on Brandon Ayuk and how much of it is it on the front office as well as the coaching staff? Why he's not playing?
Well, I'm going to put it more on the staff than the
player.
player.
I would agree.
Because it's your job to develop him, right? It's your job to keep him in check. It's your job to, hey, if you're not doing this right, let's get this done. But at the same time, when you turn on the tape, Ayuk is wide open all the time. So for those of you who like to follow certain individuals on Twitter who like to throw out random stats without putting a definition behind that stat, I think everyone, the three of us know.
No, I won't mention a name.
David Lombardi. He knows what he's doing when he does this stuff. You don't have to carry the weight of the team. You don't have to carry their one, right? The other separations are based on receptions and incompletions that are thrown your way, right? The other times on tape, Ayuk is wide open. He's running longer developing routes, right? And at the same time, a yard of separation number can be skewed because how many times Deebo Samuel was at one point last year the league leader in yards of separation. Why? Because he caught the ball behind the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
So that's 6 yards of separation for the most part. Because if you're in shotgun, Jimmy, Nick, or CJ, whoever the quarterback was, is 5 yards behind the center. Here comes Deebo. The nearest corner to him is 6-7 yards away. So that's your yards of separation. So it's a skewed stat. So don't give me this nonsense of 1.7. I put the stat up this morning just for comparison's sake. Allen Robinson is 1.7 yards per separation. Jamar Chase is 1.7 yards per separation. And both those guys got like 35, 41 targets, right, in that number. And both of those guys have 20-plus receptions and over 300 yards receiving. Yet Ayuk has 8 receptions on 15 targets.
Like 90 yards.
90 yards and a touchdown. Oh, and then on that touchdown, he smoked the corner. Jair, he smoked him, right? And then you see him against Arizona last week, 2nd and 25. He has no space. One hand catches it. and beats 3 guys to get 25 yards.
Oh, and he
What
did
are
a
we
great
doing?
job by defending the
Yeah.
keeping the defender off of him, boxing him out basically to be able to catch the football.
No, it's to me, I think the comment here, Richard, the team is not in lockstep. You can see it. You can feel it. This team is not 2019. This team, to me, this team was set up to, not set up, but the team was not in lockstep the minute they made the trade to 3. Because you got guys in that locker room who've only seen success with one quarterback, right? And that one quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo. So now you insert this kid into this situation where it's like, oh, all right, bro, you're 21 years old. These are a bunch of grown-ass men around you. Oh, by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo got this team to a Super Bowl in 2019. So the only success Jimmy Ward, Tart, Armstead, and all these other guys have seen is because of this guy. So we may not want you here automatically. Yeah, they're probably really accepting and warm and everything else. But at the same time, players are going to go with the guy they've known that they've had success with, right? So you introduce this whole, you just threw a bomb into the locker room, because now you have this side of the locker room is like, oh, we want to see Trey, and this other side is like, no, we only want to see Jimmy, right? And then you have the whole situation with Kyle, who admittedly in 2017, which is a tweet that's floating around right now, he didn't want to keep Cap because he didn't want to run 2 different offenses. I spoke to Adam Snyder. Everyone knows Adam Snyder, former guard of the 49ers. I asked him, I go, hey, when you had Colin Kaepernick and Alex Smith, how did Jim Harbaugh prep you guys? He's like, look, the offense remained the same for both quarterbacks. He said, but the biggest thing was we had Cap there for a year before. Remember, Cap was drafted in 2011, right?
Yeah, they made a smooth transition.
Yeah, so yeah, and then with those 2011 practices, 2012 practices, and then Alex eventually gets hurt, but they had a whole year for the offensive line to adjust to the way Colin played, right? Because remember, Colin ran out of the pistol. He's already starting 7 yards behind the center, whereas with Jimmy Garoppolo or Alex Smith, those guys are under center most of the time anyway. So now, with the way Adam Snyder wrote it, he was like, listen, we would run the same offense, but it would look different because we had it running out of the pistol. With the Niners and Jimmy and Trey, you have 2 different offenses. Like, we've seen this, 2 different offenses, not the same, which kind of blows my mind because we watched Trey Lance. We've all watched Trey Lance's college tape. How many times was a kid under center running play action? Like, this is what he does.
98% of the time.
Right? And then you want to throw him in the pistol, which is fine. You want to utilize his legs, whatever. But you can't sit here and say, oh, well, we can't run this Jimmy Garoppolo version of the offense because the kid doesn't know it. Well, guess what? That's your fault, Kyle. That's your fault, John, because you wanted to hide this kid for the beat writers and the media, because everyone I talked to who was at camp was like, it felt like they were trying to hide this kid. What are you hiding him for? You've made the decision to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo anyways. Who gives a shit about feelings? Like, I like Mike McDaniel's quotes throughout this whole process. If you ever go back and read his quotes, he's like, we're in a results-based business. We like Trey because he learns on the fly. He does this. He doesn't care. He doesn't get emotional about it, right? And then he talks about how with Jimmy, well, he didn't say with Jimmy, but he's like, before we had to call the perfect play, right? We had to keep it in structure. Now with Lance, it's okay to get out of structure because you know what? Cool if he gets 10 yards rushing the ball and not 10 yards through the air. Cool if he breaks contain and you got this guy streaking down the field. Are you gonna turn that away? Right? If like just the first snap of Trey Lance's preseason career, the design was to go to Sherfield, right? What happens? It's not there. He breaks contain. He makes a play. Ayuk is your check down, and if Ayuk catches, it's a 25-yard gain. Yep. It's a completely different offense, and the quarterback changed the whole element. And this to me falls directly on Kyle, directly on John. And I'm not calling for either guy to get fired because I'm not with that shit. Because who's out there to replace him, right? Like there's not many options, right? And if Kyle, and I'm not with the whole idea if Kyle gets fired, 90% of the league is going to run to hire him. No, like 6 teams will run to hire him. But the point is, if anyone's going to get this done based on how QB friendly this offense is, it's going to be Kyle. Like Nick Mullins can't even crack a regular roster anywhere else, right? You know what I'm saying? So,
you know what pisses me off though? Yeah, you do. Shit, I love it. this is what pissed me off about it though too, Hobby, is I just feel like there's a lot of double talk. Like what we see versus what happens are so different, right? You hear that Trey isn't ready, yet when you run him out there, 83% of the offense runs through him, okay? You run him more than you run the running backs. You start out the game with 3 straight snaps or 4 straight snaps that were directly on him. The first one is out of shotgun, empty. They also ended the first half and began the third quarter between the two. I think 24 out of 28 plays were Trey Lance. That's how you ended the half and started the second half, okay?
You're talking about the Arizona game, right?
Arizona game, yeah.
So the first game, I spoke to Mike Person. We watched the tape together. The first snap, that's on Lance. That's a protection check from Lance. He's supposed to slide the protection.
Yep.
Because it's 5-on-5. So that's on Lance. But either way, keep going. I'm sorry, keep going. My bad.
Yeah. So, but the whole point is that they're putting it all on Lance. So you tell me he's not ready, but then you run an offense that is 100% on Lance. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The other thing is this: in that game, Trey Lance went 10 of 14 passing, 10 yards and under. That was with multiple drops in those situations. If you include the 2 quarters against Seattle into that, he's 68% passing 10 yards and under. So you tell me they can't run the quick game with them, or you can't run the short game with them, right? That's what we hear. You can't run the same offense. And I get it. Jimmy definitely makes that first read quicker. He gets the ball out quicker. I understand all of that. But Trey Lance has been successful in those shorter passes. So to tell me that you just can't do it and it has to be 2 different things, I'm not buying it.
Yeah. I'm not. I stopped buying their stuff after the 2018 season, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Eric Davis, former, Super Bowl champ, he knows what he's talking about. And when Joe Staley says it, Eric Davis says it, Dante Whitner says it, Brett Jones says it, Steve Young says it, you got to kind of go with it, right? And I don't buy what this team is selling, because they just don't. It's not that they haven't been truthful. It's just they speak out of both sides of their mouth. Like, yeah, we expect Jimmy to be here. We really like him, and we're not doing this or that. But you go and look at every option available, right? DeForest Buckner, he's a guy we want to keep forever. Oh, traded, right? The George Kittle situation, I think we all can pretty much assume. Well, not assume, but there was plenty of rumblings about they might have moved on from him before he got his contract. Like, you can't sell the fan base one thing and then do another, because you haven't earned that equity. Cool, you got 2019 under your belt, but before that you'd had nothing, and now you don't have much equity either. Like, there's just plenty of examples of them just speaking out both sides of the mouth. Like, you can't sit here and say with John Lynch recently with the Ayuk situation. Okay, he's a hard worker. You said that, Kyle. You admitted. I mean, John, you admitted that. It's not that he doesn't know the playbook. You admitted that too, John. And he's healthy now. So what's the problem? You're running out of excuses, right? Like, and you can't sit here and tell me, you can't sit here and say, oh, well, we're gonna run this back with Jimmy. You've decided not to do this further. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
It's I don't know, man. This whole season is such a cluster F. It's incredible to me.
What's with this garbage that Kyle is saving plays for later in the season? No, Kyle doesn't save plays. Kyle's been listen. If you turn on the tape, Kyle's running some great plays. There's some really good stuff here on the game film. Lance isn't hitting it because he's still young. It's understandable. The stuff Jimmy is missing is like, come on, bro. Like, you've seen this how many times? Like, what? Throw the ball.
And it goes, I guess Jimmy kind of just doesn't trust himself, right? And that's where the difference for me between Lance and Jimmy is while Lance is a rookie, he still trusts himself at times to make a throw that Jimmy's not going to try to make.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing with it is even though Trey can run, the biggest thing I love about him is when he breaks the pocket, his eyes continually stay downfield, which Jimmy does not do. I remember when Jimmy first threw a football away, I'm like, holy shit, he threw the ball away. Like, He knows how to throw the ball away. Like, it was just so surprising to me, right? But Trey Lance, in a sense, is look, like we just said with ED. ED was a big Jimmy fan in the beginning. He's like, you don't start.
We all
Trey
were.
Lance right
We
now.
all were.
Right. And I was too. And, after week 2 in Philly, that kind of just changed my mind. And ED hits it on the head, right? Perfectly. When Kyle said, when the question was asked, how do you feel that Trey played? And he says, well, I feel like he played good enough to win. Well, if he played good enough to win, and you go and you say, if it's close, if there's a close competition or whatever you want to call it.
The tie goes to the rookie.
Tie goes to the rookie.
Nope.
Right? But yet you're not following through with that. And I don't understand why you're not following through with that. While Trey Lance made some mistakes, he wasn't perfect by any means, right?
No.
But you could see that the offense moved better up and down the field with him, whether he ran it 11 quarterback design runs, 11 powers or quarterback powers or whatever it is. The offense moved in between the 20s. The execution and the penalties is what killed us and stopped us from scoring. It wasn't the offense in its own. It was mental mistakes and lack of execution. But between the 20s, the offense moved way better with Trey Lance than it did with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why he won't pull the trigger.
It's just this weird. I just don't understand this newfound loyalty to Jimmy Garoppolo. Right? You spent all this time for 2 years looking at Brady, looking at Dak, looking at Stafford, Watson, Wentz, Storm. You name the quarterback, they were looking. And now you want to be like, hey, Jimmy's my guy. What, Kyle? This is, I did a show last week with Brad of the SF Niners, and we just started talking about Kyle Shanahan. He just doesn't. I love Kyle, right? And I'm okay if he gets. I'm okay if they move on, whatever. But at some point, Kyle, you need to stop having these issues with your quarterbacks. Matt Ryan had an issue. Johnny Manziel had an issue. Hoyer had an issue in Cleveland. Matt Schaub had a little bit of a spat with him. At some point, Kyle, it's okay to love on your guys. Hey, you're my guy, Jimmy. You're my guy, Lance. You gotta wrap your arms around some of these people. You can't sit here and just keep. When is the last time Kyle has said anything positive about an offensive player outside of Kittle and Debo? He doesn't. It's always, I love Jimmy Ward. I love Fred Warner. Nick Bosa is my guy. He loves all these defensive guys. And he has this weird relationship with his offensive players. At some point, Kyle, you need to accept the fact that, yes, your system works, but your system only really, really, really works when you have good fucking players. Excuse my language. You got Debo, you got Kittle. Love on these guys and let them grow with you too. Right? Why is Sermon not getting any burn? Why is Mitchell getting more burn than Sermon?
And I know that I believe you think the same way, Javi, and I know Jesse, you think the same way, that I thought Trey Sermon was the guy that was drafted for Trey Lance.
He played with Baker. He played with Fields. He played with Kyler Murray, and he played with I'm missing one more quarterback. There's one more. And either way, he played with three. He played Hurts. Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
he played with all these guys who run out of the pistol. And what did they do at Oklahoma and Ohio State? They run this inside trap zone or inside zone. Oh, and guess what? When they run it with the Niners, he's successful.
Yep. And you run for almost 100 yards, and then you only get 2 plays while you're on the field for 2 snaps with 1 carry.
And this
that
is where
you average that you got what was it, like a 12-yard run or 8, 9?
His first run was 9 yards.
Yeah, 9 yards.
Even still, it's 9 yards. Larry, I don't know if anyone listens to KMBR, but Larry Kruger kind of pressed Matt Mayoko on this whole Kyle and John Lynch situation. He's like, "Do you think there's an issue here?" Because John was kind of vocal about the whole we just need better execution, blah blah blah. And then Kyle's on the other side saying, "Well, yeah, we drafted these guys, and some of these picks are just performing better than the others." So it's what? So they're both talking out the side of their mouth. Like,
Yeah,
you can't
because
sit here and
Matt-
tell me.
Because Matt like dug into Kyle or John in that interview where he was like, well, okay, so you've been successful, but I'm going to eat at you a little bit now. And he says, why are your guys that were drafted later performing better than the guys you drafted earlier? And it was just like, it looked like John Lynch stood up, turned around, and just started spitting facts out the backside of him. Like, not even facts, but just spitting shit, basically, out the backside. I don't know, man. Jesse, were you getting into arguments in the chat?
Yeah, dude. Listen, I have Linda calling me out. First of all, Linda, thank you for listening and paying attention. That shows me you're supporting me. So even if you don't like me, it's okay. Like, thanks for the support. And I'm not saying you don't like me, but no, she was calling me out on I must have been talking about Mac Jones at some point here on the show, and so she didn't agree with me. So I was talking with her, just letting her know.
Do we want to hit on the Mac Jones thing?
Javi, the floor is yours. Please.
Okay,
I would love for you to. I don't want to put the business out there, but you can do what you want to do.
So all right, everyone knows I was a Justin Fields guy. I'm still a Justin Fields guy. Like, I love Lance, cool, great, but I thought Fields would be the better pick for this team as constructed right now. However, you could not sell me that Mac Jones was the pick for Kyle Shanahan for a number of reasons. Like, I got to meet Mac Jones in person at the Senior Bowl. There was nothing about this human being that screamed 49ers franchise quarterback. There was nothing about this quarterback that screamed, hey, Kyle's going to want this guy to replace the guy that plays exactly the same way as Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, what you saw last week against Dallas, that is probably close to the ceiling of Mac Jones.
Yeah, I agree.
What we saw against the Cowboys. The whole point was, Kyle, if anyone listens to Kyle Shanahan over the last 4 years, regardless of some of their decisions, right? Because you have to kind of go with a quarterback that fits your current offense. He was very, very vocal about wanting an athletic quarterback. He was very, very vocal about talking about the athlete at quarterback, or the athlete learning to play quarterback from peewee to high school to college, now the NFL. So when you get to see Russell Wilson kick our ass, Kyler Murray kick our ass, all these other guys who are Lamar Jackson, you know what I mean? And Mahomes was doing these things to us. You can't sit here and say Kyle's going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go get Mac Jones while Sean McVay goes sends golf to Siberia.
Yeah.
These guys have the same mental makeup, right? Stefanski has Baker Mayfield. They're going to run into a Jimmy Garoppolo, Jared Goff situation here in a year anyways. So I could see the Browns looking at a guy like, maybe they stink it up and they get DJ out of Clemson, right? Maybe they do something. They go get Caleb Williams in a couple years, but they're going to go eventually to a more mobile guy with more upside. The Niners were looking at a guy with upside. Kyle kept saying, I want a top 5 starting quarterback. I want to get to a top 5 starting quarterback. Mac Jones is probably never going to crack the top 10. So no, he wasn't the pick. Did they like him? Of course they liked him. Because Mac is, for all the shit I give Mac, he is pretty polished for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah,
right. He does command the line of scrimmage. He has really good accuracy. What you don't see though from him is any type of mobility. Like, he got rocked in the pocket. Like, he got destroyed.
That was rough. That was rough.
Any type of move, like, he just doesn't move well. The other thing that I saw at the Senior Bowl, he'll make 1 or 2 really good throws, and then he'll have 3 or 4 bad ones, and then 1 or 2 really good throws, 3 or 4, and you see that consistently right now.
I think he's the only one to hit the ceiling, right?
He's probably at the ceiling. Like, in 2 years, he'll probably be at his max point, right? As long as,
and that's the thing, like you said, he's just like Jimmy Garoppolo, and he'll win games.
He'll win
football games.
Yeah,
and that's what he'll do. But you're not going to have that superstar.
And I think one of my guys put it best. He's like, with Mac, you're going to need a defense and a run game. When you don't have those things, you're going to lose games. And they don't have a true running game, and their defense isn't what it used to be. So they're losing games. Similar to the 49ers right now with Jimmy Garoppolo this season. Their running game isn't there. The defense wasn't where it was the first couple of weeks. And guess what? We lost games. Jared Goff is in Detroit. No run game, no defense, losing games. Jared Goff before McVay. No run game, no defense, losing games. Baker Mayfield, no run game, defense struggled, lost games.
Yep.
Jimmy, Baker, Goff, and Mac, those are the 4 guys that are in that same situation. Like, I have to give a little bit more love to Kirk Cousins because Kirk is a tier above those guys. So you
He
have
is.
like
Yep.
if Kirk is tier 2.5, then these other guys are tier 3. You know what I mean? Like they're there. That's just where they are. There's no way on God's green earth did Kyle want Mac or was going to take him, because the clock would have started. Because if you take Mac, you don't have Jimmy here. Period.
Yeah.
No, you definitely don't. And here's the thing, right? Like, obviously, I was one of the guys that got lucky, and I was saying Trey Lance, and it ended up being Trey Lance.
But you weren't
right?
wrong.
I wasn't. No. I get that, but I guess I like to play devil's advocate a little bit, right? And I hope to God that Mac wasn't the guy, but just the more and more that I hear, it's hard for me to just push those narratives away. Okay. You just had the thing come out about Washington, right? And a lot of crappy stuff's coming out of that. But one of the things that came out of that was the Schefter email, right? Where he sends it to Mr. Editor to make sure the story's right before he sends it out. These guys are really, really plugged in with some of these organizations, and the 49ers are definitely no different. Okay. So for them to all come out and say, hey, Mac, and then not only that, but they double and triple down after the draft. And one of the stories, I forget who it was, I wish I could remember, but somebody wrote a story, I think it was a Monday before the draft, saying, and this kind of ties it all together. You had everybody pushing the Mac narrative, right? Then Monday, you hear that Kyle wants Mac, Trey's his number 2, and everybody else in the organization basically wants Trey. So I'm thinking of that going, okay, so if Kyle goes with Trey in this situation, it's the guy that he wanted the second most, so not the worst case scenario, right? And he can make everybody else in the organization happier by doing so. And so that's a leadership moment where he just says, listen, I'm trusting everybody else. I'm going against my instincts. I also really like Trey. So let's go into this together. Like, that story actually adds up, in my brain at least, as a possibility. And then you add in a couple more factors. One, he said they were drafting a starting quarterback. Mac clearly is the most start worthy in year one out of all of these guys. And two, you went out of your way to try to get every veteran quarterback you could up to draft day. So for me, I'm not saying for sure Mac was the guy, but I'm not saying Mac wasn't the guy. And again, this is coming from the guy that pushed the Trey narrative all the way through and was right. So for me to do a 180 on this, that tells you that I'm not just BSing. Like, I genuinely feel like there might have been something to that. So,
and that's the thing that gets lost with like social media and Twitter, because you don't have enough characters to explain that, right? And
sure.
if you're not tuned into the show, then no one's ever going to listen to it or hear that, right? Because what you explained right there makes perfect sense, right? Because we all thought it. We're like, shit, they might actually do this.
Right.
They might actually take Mac.
Yeah.
I pushed the Fields stuff because I had a connection to Fields, and that's what I was told. Hey, but I also knew about the trade early on because I told all y'all knew that I had it. I had that shit 2 weeks before.
Yep.
Because I have a buddy who's tight with Miami. Like, he's like, yo, Niners and Miami are working a deal. Okay, cool. They're gonna get to 3. You can go look at my Twitter timeline. I was talking about Niners are gonna reset. They need to reset. They're gonna reset. Yep. So with the Lance stuff, this is where I got lost in it, because I had Joe Staley on my podcast last year. He worked with Dylan Reduns.
Drinking some beers. I loved it.
We were drinking a lot of beers that night. He was working with Dylan Reduns. Dylan Reduns is North Dakota State left tackle. He was like, hey, Niners are around this kid Lance. I was like, and I didn't even fucking think about it. The entire time I was talking about Fields, I didn't even think about it until after the pick was made. I was like, he told me what it was. So it's just one of them things. But my only issue with Lance, like, honestly, rewatching the game like 4 times now, it's not even the delivery anymore. It's his feet. It's just his feet at this point. If he can correct his feet, we got something, right? And I need Kyle to rip this Band-Aid off that is Jimmy Garoppolo and let this kid play, right? I need you to start getting your offensive line in line for him. But I also think that this 2021 team is not completely built for Trey right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
This is still technically Jimmy Garoppolo's team, like the way it's built on offense, right? They still need a guard. They need a center. Those things are going to happen. hopefully this offseason, this draft, whatever it is. So it's just to me, just rip it off and let's roll, because you're not going to learn anything sitting on the sidelines. And no disrespect to Jimmy Garoppolo, you're not learning anything from Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Because we watched that Arizona game. How many times did Jimmy go over there and talk to him when he was on the tablet? Anyone? 0. That tells you what kind of shit's going on.
Yep. And he comes out. You're muted, Nick. He comes out and says that celebrating with him after that first touchdown in that first game was really hard for him to do. It's very clear. All these people that are like, well, he's here to help Trey. And no, he's not. He doesn't care about helping Trey. He shouldn't care about helping Trey. That is not his problem.
I don't blame him at all.
Did Trey practice today or no?
There's no practice today. They practice
it's tomorrow.
Trey.
Right.
So we'll find out about Trey tomorrow.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right, Javi. It's like, I said that as soon as we were watching the game, because we were actually doing a live watch party that game when Trey came in for Jimmy the second half. And I'm like, dude, Jimmy's just sitting over there by his damn self and didn't even come over and say, like, go over anything on the pad with Trey. Like, dude, that's so unprofessional. Like,
bro, look at Dalton with Fields. Dalton is literally up Fields' ass.
Yep.
All game.
And he got replaced. That wasn't even a you're injured thing, right? So the thing that scares me though, Javi, do the 49ers need to go out and get a better quarterback coach? Because I have no faith.
Yes.
We need to get a guy like a Ken Dorsey or
Jeff Garcia.
Yeah, that would be even better. Even dude, I probably laugh at me, but I love JT O'Sullivan's breakdowns.
I mean, JT's a smart guy.
Yeah,
he's a smart guy. But Kenny, it's one thing to break down the film and then coach it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, it's different. But I'm nervous because I think Trey has by far a high ass ceiling, and I believe he has a ton of talent. But I have never seen Kyle Shanahan develop a quarterback yet.
He's brought guys that are good and made them better, right? Like made them reach their peak. I've seen that. Hey, here's another name for you guys.
Well, they had the one good year.
Right, but they had their best year, right? A couple of these guys.
Pep Hamilton, that's the one.
That's
Jamal,
it. Yeah.
Jamal in the comments.
There it is right there. Here's one out of left field for you. Sounds like his days in the league might be numbered. What about Nick Mullins?
To teach the offense. I don't know about coaching the guy to work on his delivery.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that either. I don't know. But it seems like he's kind of a coach on the field type of guy, right? Like it wouldn't be bad having this kid somewhere on the staff at some point.
I think if they can figure out a way to get like Kevin O'Connell or Scott Turner, Jeremy Bates, one of those guys to come on over, even Sage Rosenfeld. Like Sage Rosenfeld would make a lot of sense. Will Hewitt is another guy that they can go get. The reason I'm naming these guys' names because Kyle's agent runs a QB collective, and if anyone paid attention to me the entire offseason, QB collective was a big thing with Justin Fields and Kyle Shanahan. But most of those guys that are in the league all come from that QB collective. Stefanski, McVay, all the LaFleurs, Kyle, obviously, of course. Shit, you know what? Get Steve Young in here to coach.
I
Pay him whatever he wants.
I would love. Now people are saying Elvis Gerback, Jim Druckenmiller,
Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick, yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's
honestly, I think Sage Rosenfeld would probably be the one to make the most sense, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, I could.
Or John Beck, but I don't think John Beck's going to give up his.
No, he's not leaving that. Job. He owns a business,
Yeah.
But even John Beck said it, like, right? He said that what he worked with Trey before training camp, Trey kind of reverted back to what he was doing before.
It was too short, man. It's too short of a period.
Right. And now he's working with
Quincy Avery.
What is it?
Quincy Avery.
Oh yeah, Quincy. That's it.
They've been together
but they've been for a while.
Since high school. You know, those guys, McAvoy,
that's what
all
I'm saying.
them, yeah.
So but now he's back to that guy who he's getting where the Niners are trying to change up some things that he does. And he's still working with Quincy Avery, who has been the guy has gotten him and hasn't fixed those issues, right? So like the elongated throw, like, you know, like wind up basically. Like you said, Javi, his footwork.
Just laid
Bro,
over there, bro.
I'm on an hour of sleep, so I'm good. His footwork, but that's the thing that scares me the most, though, man, is who's going to evolve and raise this kid's game to what it can actually be.
So the thing, like, who's going to help him get there is going to be Kyle. But the stuff in the offseason, that's the only way you're going to fix the release. It's the only way you're going to fix the feet. It's going to be in the offseason. So this is where he needs to go back to Beck. He needs to go back to guys that run this offense, right? And no disrespect to Quincy or anything, but the only quarterback of note that he works with is Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Like that's the best of the best that he has.
They got Malik. They got Malik too, but
they do got Malik.
Who knows?
That's right. Well, Malik, I like Malik.
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. Yeah, he's nice out of Liberty. But I mean, and the other part about this is getting Trey ready is these snaps. Like, you have to play this kid at this point, because even in that Arizona game, he was getting better as the game was going. So you see the growth. And I get the excitement. I also understand why Kyle would go back to Jimmy right now. But at the same time, it's like, dude, we all know this is over. Like, this is almost over. You know? Like, just do it already. You have enough talent around you, and you can scheme up a lot of this shit. But, again, the mechanics are what they are, which is delaying some of these quick things that they need Trey to do, and he's not being able to execute it right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, this offense is a timing offense, right? Like,
it's all timing, yeah.
Everything is timing about it. And, you know, there were, you know, when you've seen Trey play in the preseason, like with a couple of those interceptions and things, he goes off the read when it's open, going through his next read, and then was like, okay, he trusts his arm because he can throw fast, and he tries to zoom it in there, and the window's already closed. So, you know, that's why Jimmy Garoppolo operates so well in this offense, is because he is that timing system. He has that timing down for this system. He just doesn't know. He makes too many mental mistakes, right? Because my opinion on Jimmy Garoppolo is he sees his one read. If it's not open, he panics. That's just what Jimmy does. He panics. He loses sight of what he's supposed to do, and just kind of gets all like cloudy headed, I guess you could say. But Trey, you're right, Javi. The only way it's going to come is if you allow him to get snaps. Like, that's the only way he's going to break out of these.
Yeah. I mean, look at Trevor Lawrence this week, right? Granted, it was Miami, but he's gotten better from week 1 till now. Zach Wilson, same thing. He got better from week 1 till now. Justin Fields, he looked good. His first start was a disaster because that offensive line versus Cleveland's defensive line, he had no shot. He never had a shot. Right? He comes back the next week against Detroit, and yeah, he didn't score that many points, but he was making NFL level throws. Right? That's what you want to see against the Packers. Eddie Jackson is a shell of himself, so there's that. But you know, he was making throws against the Packers to lead him down for a touchdown drive. So those guys are getting better as they play. And Kyle even admitted he's only going to get better if he plays when it comes to Trey. So you should play him, but at the same time, like it's this balance of risking wins for development, because you have all these 1-year deals. You have veterans like Trent and Kittle and Lakin and these guys and Alex Mack. These guys want to win now, like Armstead and Ward, and you know those guys. They want to win now, but at the same time, Kyle's balancing that winning now versus development of the quarterback for the future. Because let's be honest here, the word that everyone hates, it's going to happen.
Rebuild.
Next year's a rebuild year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you have 34 free agents. I don't want to see half of them back, because you cannot keep running this back.
And you don't have any draft picks.
Yeah, and you don't have draft picks. So now you got to go spend. So, like, the guys that you want back, you know, probably going to bring back DJ Jones. That's smart. Bring him back. You got to extend Lakin Tomlinson. You're probably might bring Tart back, maybe, right? What do you do with Dre Greenlaw's contract? Like, there's a whole bunch of shit that needs to happen here. Like, their second-round pick better be a corner. I swear to God. Like, they better draft a corner.
Oh, it has to be.
There's no way.
It has to be. And their third-round pick has to be a freaking center.
Yep. That has to be the order. Corner, center, safety. Those are your three. Boom, boom, boom. And then go pay for, this mid-level wide receiver that you might need. And how about just go sign a guy who return punts? Like, that's his sole job. Like, I don't give a shit what else he does here.
Yep.
Just
that's
return
it.
punts and kicks. That's it.
That's it. Hey, so we've got 70 people watching. I'm going to get back to the call-in portion, but I want to say this. I want you guys to plug your guys' ish so that people that are watching, if for some reason they're not subscribed to you guys or following you guys, I got a feeling most are, but if they're not, I want to make sure that you guys get some love for it, because obviously you just gave me an hour of fucking amazing content. So thank you guys. So Hobby, why don't you go ahead and plug your content real quick?
Yeah, just check us out, Fourth and Goal Podcast. We'll have one tomorrow, probably about 8:30 Central, at Fourth and Goal Podcast on Twitter, and then of course at JavierVega _ on Twitter.
Yeah, listen, if you guys don't know these two, they are absolute OGs in this game. Hobby's about as plugged in as it gets. He's low key an insider. He doesn't talk about it a lot, but he knows all the ins and outs of what's going on.
Shit anymore.
Yeah. That's Matt Mayoko's son right there, bro.
Hey, listen, I don't care. The Stafford thing, people ripped you for it. It also came out later on that it was true. You're so freaking humble about the whole situation. That's what I love about both these guys too, by the way. Both of these gentlemen have shown me love from the very beginning. No reason to do so whatsoever. I'm new to the game as far as how long they've been in it, but the love that they've both shown me is amazing. So I appreciate both of you for that. Nick, why don't you go ahead and plug your stuff as well?
Yeah, I mean, before I do any of that, man, make sure if you guys first time here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for Jessie and spread the love. Hitting that like also puts it in analytics so that other people can find him as well. Get those subscribers back up. And like Javi said, go over there to Fourth and Goal Podcast. Him and Fern do a great job over there. Big supporter of them. Listen to them every day at work when they're on. I always what's that?
I said Fern's got to stop drinking so much.
Fern's like, you sure I could just crack another beer? I could crack another beer?
Can I tell you my favorite episode, by the way, was when his daughter was getting into the cookies.
Oh yes. God.
Dads know. That was the best. I love it.
He's like, you're gonna have to hold on because I think she's getting into the cookies. Hold on. I gotta go back down. I gotta go down there and see what she's doing.
That was the best, man. I love it.
And then he comes back, he's like, I'm just gonna crack another beer. I love it though, man. Keep putting out the great content, Javi. Yeah, guys, make sure you guys go over there and like both of their stuff. And then you can find me. My Twitter handle is at 49erfaithful365. The podcast is at Nothing But 9 ERS. And then you can find us on YouTube, Nothing But Niners, all spelled out. And Instagram, Facebook, and any podcast platform that you listen to. So,
and if you're going to the game on Sunday, I will be there, section 129, row 4. I don't know if I'm buying that many beers, but I'll bring a couple 30 packs to the tailgate. So hit me up.
I love it. Yeah, hit him up for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing those pictures on Twitter. Guys, seriously, thank you so much for giving me your time. That was amazing. And, I'll be tuning into both your stuff. Nick, we'll talk soon. Javi, we'll talk soon.
Yes,
you guys have a great night, okay?
All right, guys.
Later.
All right,
see ya.
All right, let me get back on track here. I've had Amin try to call in a couple times. He's not here now, so I'm going to go to Sersky and then Amin. If Amin can get back in here, and then we'll wrap it up. That was not planned. That was not expected. But when you have two guys like Nick from Nothing But Niners and Javi come in to the domain, you have to roll out the red carpet, man. Those guys are both fantastic. But I've got a hell of a caller on the line. If you don't know Sersky, he called in last week. He's always on the Twitter Spaces, and he's back again tonight. He also brings the heat, so excited to get to him. Sersky, thank you so much for being patient. What is up, my guy?
Man, what is going on, my guy? How's it going?
Hey, it's going good. Nobody else can see your face, right? Because that's the way that I do it. But I can see your face. It's kind of good to be able to put a face with the name and the voice, right? So now when I talk to you, I kind of know who I'm talking to. So I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure, man. You know, back to 49ers football, man. You know, we had the bye week. You know, I think the 49ers had an extra day at practice yesterday, right? Was that the extra day they had, or that was like a
yeah, so yeah, it was just kind of like a get together, probably roll out the game plan. Because normally in a week you have Monday's an off day, Tuesday they're throwing in the game plan, and Wednesday's a practice. Obviously, they had the extra week, so they had the game plan ready to roll. And so what do? They probably give that to the team on Monday, and then Wednesday will be the full on practice. So we'll see if Trey's able to practice tomorrow. I still think it's going to be Jimmy, but tomorrow is going to be that full practice. So,
oh yeah. Well, hopefully Trey is out there. It sucks. Him, being hurt like that. With his knee and whatnot. But when that's what happens when you put a kid like that in a situation that he had no business of being in. You don't use a quarterback. Your future quarterback. You don't use him as a running back to be getting nicked and banged up like that. You usually, let the running backs go through that. So, I mean, hopefully Kyle learns from it. But at the end of the day, that was ridiculous. But it is what it is, man. I mean, I'm not excited for Jimmy starting again. I'm just not. I'm not thrilled about it. But it's just something that we have to deal with. We're faithfuls at the end of the day. So I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully, he'll be able to, help us get us this win, because he definitely doesn't do it by himself. But yeah, man. I was hearing you and Nick and Javi, and I was hearing Javi about Lance and and those deficiencies and stuff that we've seen from Lance, which is totally correctable. But I mean, like you said, man, you got to go ahead and put him in now, because you always saying about how Jimmy was, Jimmy is more equipped for the offense because he can get the ball out quick. But that's something that Trey Lance needs to learn as well, and that's why Trey Lance need to be out there on that field so he can do that as well. Because if you don't, that type of thing can happen next year. Like I said the last time I talked to you, like Trey has to get snaps. Trey has to be acclimated to this offense. Trey has to know the offense in and out. Trey has to know the chemistry of the wide receivers on the field, the play calling, everything, because he's your guy next year. He's your guy. He's gonna be your guy next year and for the long haul. So you want to go ahead and get him the reps now, so in 2022 he'll already know what to do. And just by leaving them on the sideline or just putting them in on certain plays, that's not going to help them. It's just not. So you want to go ahead and get the future ready now in the present. But
here's the thing, Sersky, and this is what gets me, right. Like it's a two-prong approach, right? You heard Javi talk about the footwork, and it's very important because Steve Young came out and said that he could look at just somebody's feet. He doesn't have to see what happened with the ball. He doesn't have to see the rest of the play. But if he looks at your feet, he can tell you based off your feet if you completed that pass or not, and be basically 95% on it.
Right.
Like that's how big footwork is. So he's not going to learn that by playing, right? And that's the argument that people are making. Well, his mechanics aren't going to improve by playing. True, right? Because they're already not the best, and you're just going to continue to play that way. Mm-hmm. However, there's so much more to it than just your mechanics, right? If he goes out there and he at least learns the reads and learns the offense and learns the speed of the game, what happens is in the offseason, when he learns those mechanics and he comes back to play next year, he doesn't revert back to old bad habits as easily because the rest of the stuff isn't overwhelming. What you're seeing right now is, and I can assure you, all the things that needed to be corrected were absolutely worked on by Avery, by McAvoy, but they reverted because all of the rest of the stuff is a little bit overwhelming for him. And so now he's just playing backyard football and reverting back to all of those bad habits. Once you get that out of the way, then you can work on some of those footwork things, those other tendencies he has, and you can guarantee or at least give yourself a better chance that they're actually going to stick. My concern is he doesn't play. You work on all those things in the offseason. He plays next year. The game still overwhelms him a little bit, and you wasted a whole offseason of trying to rebuild those skill sets, and you've now done that 2 seasons in a row. That's my concern.
Right, exactly. It's all about muscle memory as well. See, it's like it's more. Well, I'm gonna say more, but it's just the anatomy. The anatomy of the game plays a role, and when I mean by the anatomy, I'm meaning like the body. Like he has to, everything that he was trained on, he has to keep doing it, and he has to keep doing that at practice and as well on game day. It's just like a job, man. Like when you get trained and you get trained on a job and you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over, it's muscle memory. It never goes away. You already know what to do, and that's what and that's the situation that Trey needs to be in. I get it, but I get it about Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy is who he is, bro. Like Jimmy's not going to change. He's not going to get better. It's like it's steady, and it's just going like this. It's not doing this and not doing that. It's just steady. He's just not going to be any more better than what we've already seen. And just by looking at Jimmy these past few games, just hasn't been productive at all. I mean, going into the half with just 7 points in 3 games straight. I mean, that's, everybody expected for Jimmy to come into this season balling out. Because we know he had the injury last year with his ankle and all this, and everybody was like, "No, we don't want Jimmy to go. Let him heal. He'll be better this year." And then they decided on keeping him. They tried to move him. He stayed, and everybody was expecting him to have a big year, and he's just not. I mean, he's still doing the same stuff you've seen in 2019, but he had better weapons. Well, he had more, pieces around him in 2019, but. I mean, the only way for Jimmy to succeed is if you have everything, all the pieces around him. And I want a quarterback that can come in and succeed when he doesn't, because it's going to be seasons where, we're not going to have a lot of pieces. And it's going to be seasons that we do have, a lot of pieces. So I want a quarterback that can come in there and succeed when all the pieces are there around him and when all the pieces are not there. That's a quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Look at Lamar Jackson right now. All those injuries, man, and they're winning football games. And that's because you've got a hell of a head coach and a hell of a quarterback. That's what's happening.
Exactly. And that's what I want. I think that's something that everybody should all want. This is the way of the world, bro. Everybody's not going to agree with, having Trey Lance, and everybody's not going to agree with keeping Jimmy, but at the end of the day, man, when you look at those two quarterbacks and you break them down, you can see that Lance has a higher ceiling, and because he's younger, and because he can do more things that Jimmy can do, and that's just something, and that's a blessing, man. And we all should appreciate that, because if you can get pieces around, if John Lynch can turn his light bulb on in his brain and get the right guys around him and this coming draft after this season, and Kyle turns the light on in his head and open up that playbook and do things that he did when he was the offensive coordinator of Atlanta, man, we'll be consistently winning, because we're supposed to be consistently winning right now. Because once you build your team and you go to a Super Bowl, you have to continue each and every year contending for playoffs and Super Bowl. Yeah, and it's like our organization right now is like we're trying to turn the light on and it just glitching. It won't stay on. Just glitching right now. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. But like I say, man, if Jimmy plays, I do expect when him out there is going to be a nail biter. We will be sweating on our arms. You know what I'm saying? We will be, we will be, saying prayers, hoping that the Jimmy's throws be completed, not picked off. I mean, that's just the life of being a 49er fan when you're watching games with Jimmy on the field. You're gonna be shaking, man. You're gonna be nervous. You don't see what's going on the other end of the TV. All you see is Jimmy back and dropping back. You don't see what's you won't see what's going on downfield until the ball is thrown. So
he throws him up, and you're just like, please, God, don't let this get intercepted. Like,
right,
oh my gosh,
right.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Sersky, you're right though, man. Obviously we want Trey to play, but at the end of the day, we're 49er fans. Our job as a fan, and this is where people get confused, right? They think that we have to say everything good about this team. That's not the way that this works.
Right.
Our job is as a fan, however, is to root for the product on the field come game day. Right. Whether that's Jimmy, whether that's Trey. We got to root for him the exact same, because ultimately we want this team to win, and that's what is most important. Yeah. That's what your job is as a fan. All this other stuff, we can speculate, we can disagree, we can do whatever we want. Right. But as a fan, we just have to root for the product on the field come game day, and that's what we plan on doing. Sersky, all of a sudden, of course, I got the calls piling up. I appreciate you. I'm going to get on to the next one. Thank you for calling in, my man. Always a pleasure to talk to you, and we'll be talking on some Twitter Spaces.
All right, absolutely, man. Oh yeah, one more thing, man. Yeah. Make sure shout out to Jessie, man. I love his channel, bro. It's awesome, man. We're thankful for the platform that you give us to, to talk football, talk 49er football, man. So appreciate it, bro. Also, y'all check me out on Real Talk Niner Talk. We come on Wednesdays now. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Central time. Is me, Silverado Kev, Judah Great, cousin Dave the OG, and the host Don OG Q, man. Just people's out on
Is
YouTube.
It now? Yeah, YouTube. Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure that everybody knows how to find it. So say it one more time so that they can find it.
Yeah, real talk, Niner Talk is the word real, and then talk, and then is 9 ER, and then talk. Just type that in. Like, subscribe, man. We used to come on Tuesdays, but we come on Wednesdays now. And we also come on Saturdays. I think 11 Eastern time and 10 Central time. So those 2 days, perfect. Man. Yeah, just those 2 days, man. Just check us out, man. We're talk 49er football. We just keep.
I just threw it in the chat too, Sersky. I just threw it in the chat. Real Talk, Niner Talk, told everybody go sub. I definitely am subscribed to you guys, so I think that's super dope. But yeah, definitely. You guys have been going at it for a while over there. I'm glad that you got Silverado Kev on board as well. It's a good crew you guys have over there, so that's good. Like I said, I put it in the chat for everybody.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. Again, thank you for having me on, bro. And go Niners, man. Got Sunday night coming up. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Let's get it, Sersky. You have a good night, all right?
All right, you too, man.
All right, later. All right, Rich, I'm coming to you, my guy. So I'm going to go Rich, Amin. Let me just let everybody know. We're done with the call-ins. I've got a whole stack of like 5 waiting. So it's going to go for a little bit while longer, but it's 12:20 a.m. here, and I got 5 in the books. So we're basically got another 20-25 minutes to roll. So please don't call in. I can't take any more. I appreciate everybody for tuning in for sure. I'm going to Rich though. He's been waiting a while. Rich, thank you so much for your patience, my guy. What is on your mind?
Man, thanks for taking my call, man. Y'all got me hyped up with Holly and Nick with all the Shanahan talk. I wasn't going to call in, but I won't keep you too long. I know it's probably late.
Do your thing. Listen, man, you waited, so it's all you.
But no, I think for one, I think Kyle Shanahan is indecisive about his quarterback situation. Go all the way back to when he was hired. The plan was to bring in Kirk Cousins, and all they had to do was wait 1 year, and Kirk Cousins would have been a free agent. They could have signed him. That was the plan, and then Jimmy seemed to fall into their lap. And I don't know what the decision was behind that, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. And now we've had 4 years of Jimmy, and things are where they're at now. But I did want to make a I was putting in about Mac Jones and the situation with that, and I do believe that Kyle Shanahan did want Mac Jones. That's my belief. I mean, people could have different beliefs, and hopefully we can all have a good open discussion about it. But if you look at the trail crumbs, here's the argument I'll lay out. I think that we all know he flirted with different quarterbacks over the offseason. There was word that they wanted Deshaun Watson, and then obviously that situation happened. But Stafford came up. They wanted I can't even think of his name, dude from the Jets, Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted all these guys, so it was obvious they did not want Jimmy anymore. And I still like what they were trying to do is I think they were trying to move off from Jimmy by trading him. And I believe that they did not get the trade value that they were looking for. And I think that what they wanted to do was trade Jimmy and bring in Mac Jones. Because if you hear what they were saying the whole offseason it wasn't about Jimmy's talent. It was always about Jimmy's durability and availability. And I think they really believed Mac Jones could step in and start right away and be a more durable Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that's what Kyle Shanahan truly felt. But I think what happened was because they couldn't trade Jimmy, they had to change course. And I think that the owner and Kyle, or the owner and John Lynch convinced Kyle Shanahan to go ahead and go with Lance being the project. But I also think that Kyle must have talked to Jed York about it first and said, look, we'll take Trey, but he's going to sit for the year. Jimmy's going to be the guy. He's a project. He's not going to come in and start right away. And I really feel that's the way it happened. I mean, I could be wrong, but you look at all the breadcrumbs. The other thing that leads me to believe that is I think they were bringing in Flacco and Dalton to be the backup to Mac Jones. But again, I think when they couldn't trade Jimmy Garoppolo, they had to kind of change course because they didn't want $26 million on the books and bring in a guy they felt could start from day one. So they went ahead and went with the developmental player. But I think, I don't know. It's so strange because I believe that Shanahan's a very good offensive coordinator and play caller, but I don't think he's a good head coach.
It's a different thing, right? You're talking about two different things. As a play caller, listen, he sat up in the booth in Atlanta, okay, and watched the whole field like he's watching all 22. And that's how he called plays. Now when he's on the field, he runs down and sits behind the defense, isn't even around the team because he's trying to get like an all 22 view of what the defense is doing and so worried about that and calling those plays that he's not paying attention to some of the bigger minded things that are going on. Like, what is the down and distance? When you say that you didn't go for it on fourth down against Green Bay because you thought you lost yards the play prior, you didn't lose yards the play prior. Like what? How does that even come out of your mouth? Like the bigger picture things you're not getting as a head coach. And that's because he is stuck in that offensive coordinator mindset. Go ahead, Rich. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. And the one final thing I wanted to mention, and I brought this up on Jack's podcast. I think that Kyle Shanahan's loyalty to his ex-players is really hurting his team because, and even to his coaching staff to a degree. You look at not that Williams isn't a great player because he is. He's probably the best offensive tackle, but he's an older guy. You paid him a buttload of money, but because you did that, we didn't have the ability, or we didn't take the opportunity to draft Wirfs. Okay, so now you don't have a tackle of the future. What's Williams got left? Maybe a year or two, and then we've already got a offensive line that's not that great. You move on from your center from last year, and you bring in who? Another Shanahan guy, Alex Mack. And we've seen how that's been working out. As far as the coaching staff goes, and I'm not opposed to loyalty. I think loyalty is a good thing because it gives you favor with players and coaches. But at the same time, I look at a guy like Rich Scangarello.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he left, went to the Broncos as an offensive coordinator, and for whatever reason, he didn't have success. And what did Shanahan do? Brought him back. So I think his loyalty is really hurting us. And I look at last year too. Think about Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins had to go in there for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo, right? And for like 3 or 4 straight games, Nick Mullins was killing us with turnovers. And Kyle Shanahan came out in his press conference and said, look, we can't have these turnovers. Otherwise, we got to change. So everyone thought, oh, we're going to go to C.J. Beathard. Next week, we trot out Nick Mullins, and what's he do? Kills us with turnovers again.
Yep.
So his loyalty, while it could be a blessing, is also a hindrance for this team. And I think he needs to balance that out.
Bro, you're so right about that. I talked about this on Nick from Nothing But Niners podcast yesterday. I was talking about this with somebody through DM who sent me a really long email, but it was really good, breaking down personalities and leadership styles. And, Kyle's the guy that likes to listen to the rap music and wear his Yeezys and really fit in and becomes very cliquey with these guys. And you see it with the vacations during the offseason. He's throwing footballs in the pizza oven. Like, he wants to be liked, right? And you can also see it that, by the way, that style of leadership also pairs with a passive aggressive personality, because it's hard for you to call people out in an individual setting. So you like to call everybody out as if it's everybody's issue, when really it's one person, but you don't have the gall to go talk to that one person as a one-on-one, because you don't want to hurt their feelings. You want to be the cool guy and you want to be liked by everybody. That's not a way to win. And ultimately, I think that's his style of leadership. I think it's intrinsically ingrained in him, and it's going to be really, really hard for him to break that mold. He most likely will not break that mold until he goes to another team and gets this power taken away from him. And then and only then, I think he can succeed. But under this regime, as the guy with all the power, I don't think that we're going to see long-term success. They can find success in pockets with him. I hope that I'm wrong, but I really genuinely think that we will not find long-term success with Kyle Shanahan as a San Francisco 49er head coach. That's just the way I believe it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, man. I want to let you get back to your other callers, but keep up the good work. Hey, I have a question. You don't have one of those things to make a donation, do you?
No, listen, man. So the old channel, we were monetized, so you could do the donations. Right now, because we had to start this new channel, you have to have 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. Thankfully, we passed that 1,000 pretty easy with everybody's support. We just got to get that 4,000 watch hours, and then we can do it again. I might end up starting a Patreon of some sort. But I'm kicking through the tires on that right now. I just want to build this thing back up, and I eventually might do that. Rich, I appreciate it. You definitely don't have to donate, but the fact that you were obviously willing to do so means the world to me. Just support, man. Just like, subscribe, show up as often as you can. That goes way further, and I appreciate you being willing to even do that.
Thanks, man. You have a good night.
You too, man. All right, let me get to Crypto Ryan. What's up, my guy?
What up?
How you doing?
Dude, I'm so stoked to have you guys back.
Bro, I'm so stoked to be back, first of all. Second of all, it sucks because I can't do the video call thing anymore. But also, I can see you, you can see me. Where are the glasses, man? What's up?
Bro, I knew no one could see me, so I don't have the glasses.
Yeah, well, I can see you, Crypto. Like, I need that energy from you. It's 12:30 at night, for gosh sakes. Jeez.
My bad.
You're letting me down. You're really letting me down. But I'll let it slide this time. Go ahead and let's get to your takes.
So, we just did a pod tonight, and so one of the questions, and I thought this would be great for you, is do you think the 49ers deserve a Sunday night? Do you think the Colts and the San Francisco 49ers is worthy of that time slot?
No. I mean, I think this is the first week they can flex it. They chose not to for whatever reason. I think that they're going to try to sell the whole Buckner's return thing. But no, definitely not. I wouldn't have kept that as a Sunday night game if I'm the NFL, but we'll see.
Yeah. And, the guy was talking about Trent Williams. The guy can't get you all the games in a season. And then you've got the massive paycheck. He does fling people around, but not only should they not have paid him, they should have not have given that second round for him. They should have shopped the market or done something. You know what I mean? Use it with another one to move up enough to get, somebody who isn't, well, who knows? Aaron Banks might show up to be good. Maybe he was just bigger than everybody in college and he's just not big enough in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Well, they asked him to lose weight, Crypto. They asked him to lose weight because they wanted him to fit their system, it blows my mind because it's the same thing they did with Solomon Thomas. Look how good Solomon Thomas is playing with Vegas because he's finally playing in position for the first time in his career. It's crazy how when you play guys at their natural position that they actually produce a little bit.
That was my biggest complaint with them. I was like, come on. Everybody was mad because his production wasn't good that year before he got in 2019. Dude had his arm outstretched, almost getting the quarterback a couple times where he moved back and he got sacked by somebody else. You know what I mean? I wasn't mad at that. I thought it was really good because there's a lot of killers on that line and he's there killing with them, essentially. Yeah. He's giving it from all angles. And so I can appreciate that. You don't have to be the number one stud on the line, just as long as you're doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so. Absolutely. I think Tan here is saying that we didn't give up a second. I think it was a fifth that we gave up for Trent, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, you gave up draft capital because you wanted to do the run it back. Yeah, I think it was a fifth. You did the draft capital because you wanted to run it back. Then you signed him because you wanted to run back the run back. It's like a Fast and the Furious movie around here. We're going to have 9 of these things before they finally give it up and realize they can't win a Super Bowl with this roster, for God's sakes.
Well, you can't spend all the money on your line on one player.
For sure. Yep. And that's the frustrating thing, right? So they say that Parag Marath is a capologist, a genius, which I agree with. Let's not forget that Parag was actually willing to let him walk. He almost signed with Kansas City because they were willing to pay him. And Parag's like, no, he has things limited out and budgeted out. And he was not willing to pay Trent Williams that money. So what happens? Trent calls Kyle calls Parag. And now all of a sudden he's staying on the team for way too much money.
And that's what happened. You know why he wanted more money than Parag wanted to give him? Because he wanted to be named the highest NFL paid tackle. That was the only essentially reason. And it's like, really, Trent? You know what I mean?
It's an ego. It's an ego thing, right? But I get it. Listen, I mean, he's calls himself the silverback. He's obviously got an ego, and you should as a player. You have to have that ego. You have to feel like you're the best man on the field. And if you feel that way, you deserve to be paid that way. You have a short amount of time to do that in the NFL. So I don't blame Trent Williams. I definitely blame Kyle Shanahan, though, for allowing that to go down.
The only thing I've seen him do that's kind of like a leader is when he was trying to teach Alfredo Gutierrez some stuff, which I really appreciate because I love Alfredo Gutierrez. That's my homie. I hope he's starting for us one day. You know what I mean? I just think he's cool. He's a big dude. You know what I mean? Who knows if Kyle Shanahan will ask him to lose some weight because he's a big guy, but he's a force to be reckoned with. And I don't understand why sometimes you don't. I don't understand why Kyle doesn't come out in a jumbo formation with an extra lineman and start shoving people around.
Yeah, that's what's happening, right? The other team is running out 5-man fronts on you, so why not just fight fire with fire and say, listen, we're going to bring out a 6th guy. Just for the record, 2020 5th round pick and 2021 3rd round choice. So I think we were all wrong, but we were close.
So thinking of? Yeah, you split Kittle out too, so you can come in. You know what I mean? Do whatever you need to do.
Yep.
You could do double. Have one wide receiver out there, two. Sorry, I almost cursed. Two guys in the backfield, and then Kittle.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah. Listen, I'm with it, and you've got Moore on this team right now, and Moore is pretty dang good. I mean, you can run him out there to be that extra guy,
Or
Banks, whatever.
replace McGlinchey with him.
Yeah, or just replace McGlinchey with him. Yeah, for sure. And since McGlinchey's so skinny, I mean, he can be like your extra tight end. He can be the extra blocker.
Well, he's a great run blocker. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep. I'm
Just
with you,
looking
man.
to the outside.
There's just no creativity in the offense, and change it up every once in a while. I wouldn't be mad at it. Fight fire with fire.
So I personally believe if you're going to have a run-heavy team, then you capitalize on that in the first half by just pounding the defense into submission where they get sick and tired of being hit. And also that when they get hit like that, they start sucking wind easier. And then in the second half, you can kind of come out with less people. People are all beat down and you're just running on them like you were before. That's why I always didn't mind Coleman being in and starting the game, because Coleman was, run up the center more. You know what I mean? And that's hitting the linebackers. That's slowing them down. So then when Mostert comes in the second half, in the late third or whatever, and just goes right past him. You know what I mean? That's because they're so tired from getting beat up going up the middle. So that's my philosophy. I just wish.
Well, that's that's what I kind of thought the game plan was going to be. I pegged Jeff Wilson to get a majority of the carries this year. I thought he would kind of, between him and Sermon, they would pound guys and teams into submission. And then Mostert would be the guy that would benefit most from it. And unfortunately, all of that ended before it could even get started, because those guys didn't even really make it to the season or through game one. So, here we are. It's rough, man. It's rough. Before I let you go, what's your score prediction this Sunday?
27. No, sorry. 20-17.
Niners win or lose?
Coin flip it.
He's got the score. He just doesn't know who's winning. I love it, man. Listen, this game's going to be close. It's going to be really, really close. I'm excited to see what happens. That's for sure.
Buckner is going to make us eat our words for letting him go. You know what I mean? That wasn't the right phrase, but he's gonna.
You listen. You're about the fifth person that said that tonight, Crypto. People are saying multiple sacks for Buckner, especially going up that right side. My gosh, I'm nervous about it.
He doesn't have to get sacks. He gets in there, gets his hands up. You know what I mean? There's enough issues there. You know what I mean? He could just destroy your time, make Jimmy throw a backwards fumble. You know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows?
Batted balls, whatever.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Butt
fumbles, backwards throws. Yeah, all of it. Crypto, my guy, thank you so much for calling in, my man. I got to get to the next one, and then I'm going to wrap this baby up. It's almost 1 a.m. for me, so I got to get the kids to school at 6. So
everybody subscribe to Me and the Dream, and I'm out.
All right, peace, man. Later. Just drop the mic and left on us. Pinor, my guy, I'm in the show with you. Thank you for calling in. Thanks for sticking around. Well, what's up?
No, man. You're very tired. That's why I was gonna dip like Waruna, but I mean, hey, I guess I'm here, so might as well stay. So
no, listen, I appreciate everybody, being nice and dipping, doing whatever to try to spare me. But I wanted you guys to stick around. You guys took time to call in. I want to give you guys a platform, so I appreciate it. I'm definitely very tired, though. Yes.
Yeah. So I was on Sunil's channel, and in the comments I was saying, yo, what up, Jamal? That's my boy right there. But I was in Sunil's comments, and I was telling him, I think it was yesterday with him and Jack Hammer, or the day before, I can't remember. But either way, I said that, if this regime failed, I would want to see Adam Peters to be promoted as the GM, and to have D'Amico Ryans be the head coach and Ken Dorsey to be the offensive coordinator. Do you think that all those three together, do you think that there is a flaw with keeping one of those guys or having them here? You know, I just wanted that question.
Yeah, listen, I don't know. For me, if I'm getting rid of Kyle and I'm getting rid of Lynch, I'm bringing in the most supreme of supreme guys that I can bring in. I think all those guys can be successful in those positions. I just don't want them to try it out with a young quarterback. And, I'm not saying a Super Bowl window is open right away, but you've got really good players and it can open very quickly if things fall in place right. My thing with Adam Peters is I'm 99.9% sure that he's the one that picked Ambry Thomas. He's the one that wanted Ambry Thomas. And I don't know how I feel about that pick. So I don't know what other picks were his. Maybe he had some other good ones. But we know what Ambry Thomas isn't right now. And it's, that wasn't the best. So, I don't know.
By the way, how do you know that he picked that Ambry Thomas? Is it just like a hunch, or is it more so like you got
Lynch,
some people?
Well, I mean, unless they're lying, Lynch literally said that it was his pick. That was his guy.
Okay, I was unaware of that.
Yeah. But
so
again,
thanks for telling me.
Yeah,
all right, we should fire Adam Peters.
Yeah, they fire Adam Peters. Yeah. But
All right,
again,
thanks for telling me.
the whole Mac Jones thing, and Kyle wanted trade and is drawing up plays for him on the plane. I mean, who knows what to believe? I don't even know anymore. So
yeah, because I think that it gets, I don't know, man. Is it me, or we always talk about Jimmy's trash? We want to fire Kyle. I feel like we never really talk about that GM spot more than we should, I believe. And because I think that, he is obviously a puppet to Kyle Shanahan. And, I think that he was an impressive player when he was playing and everything like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a successful GM. And I don't know. It's just like I want to start looking at other questions if we can look at them, because it's just, I don't know. I think that we keep recycling the same questions of Kyle and Jimmy. Every time we're in the Twitter spaces, every time we're, in the comments, every time we're, I'm going on a show, it's always those topics. And it gets a little annoying. I do believe there is a certain light on this team with D'Amico. I think that there are certain people or players here that I think that we should talk about them more, not necessarily being on the trading block, but just have that open mind to, if Kittle keeps getting hurt, or if Kittle is doing some more ridiculous things, in my opinion, I think that, why is everybody offended about, talking about trading Kittle and stuff like that? And don't get me wrong. I understand if you are the person that wants to protect Kittle, which is fine too. We all have our opinions. But the thing I just don't get sometimes when we're in the comments is that some people rather choose a player over the team's success sometimes. And I think that gets a little annoying, because I'm not saying that Kittle's a bad player, obviously, but it should be in the discussion if he is an injury-prone player or not, And I just think that, I'm trying to figure out how to sit down and think about other questions with this team that'd be more beneficial to talk about, So, yeah, I was very curious to see what you thought of those trios that I named, but, thank you for making me hate Adam Peters now. So, so I see that's why you have a show and I don't. Because I'm not in my opinion, I'm not on your guys' level, bro. Straight up,
bro. That's okay. First of all, let me be clear about this.
Yes.
And I've said this to you many times. I'll say it to everybody. Anybody that's looking to start a YouTube channel or just get their name out there, do it. Like, there's no reason to wait. It's easy to doubt yourself. It's easy to say that you're not ready or you're not good enough or whatever. And this isn't just a you thing, Pinor. This is anybody, right? At the end of the day, like, you just got to get out there, put yourself out there, and just trust that, it's okay to screw up, and but you're going to be okay in the long run. And listen, nobody knew who the hell I was in February, right? We started this channel, the original channel, in the beginning of February. Nobody knew who the hell I was. And in 8 months, I've got 1,800 people following me on Twitter. We had 3,000 people on this channel. And now you've got people like you calling me an expert. Listen, dude, I'm no different than you. I'm no different than anybody here. I'm now more seasoned, more experienced. And luckily for me, I've gotten to know people like Javi and some people that are really plugged in that feed me some things, and I trust those things. So yeah, I know a little bit more, but that's because I put myself out there, and it all started in February. But like I said, anybody can do this. Anybody can do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, since you're not going to brag about yourself, I think others should, because it's deserving. I think that certain people, and I don't care if you guys like Rombo, that's your brain. You know what I'm saying? So I just think about it that whenever Grant, okay, love or hate Grant, I love the fact that Grant has people on his show and introduces us to people that is like, and I'm not saying that Grant isn't a good thinker and he doesn't have good takes. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's not scared to bring on people to his show to introduce us to people that have a wide, topics that they could talk about that Grant would never even approach. You know what I'm saying? He allows people on the show that just are very intellectual, have great takes. And, I don't even know how to do that. I don't know how you and Vish, because to me, I think of you guys as like the best in the Grant camp. Like if there's a camp of Grant Cohen, it's you and it's Vish. Not one or two. Those are just my favorite as far as to listen to. And Sibla is there too. Sibla is great on her approach on everything. And, I just think that, it's great that we have all the content creators that we have. And sometimes I wish we could debate a little bit more,
listen. Yeah. That's what I do on Twitter. Right. And it's so funny because people are like, oh, you're so different here than you are on Twitter.
Hell yeah, you are.
I definitely am, but that's like,
not because you're trying though.
No. You have like a little bit, you just have a little, like a limited character space. And I like to debate, like at the core of who I am. I love talking sports and I love disagreeing with people. Like I genuinely like disagreement because I learn a lot through it. And I think other people learn a lot through it if they're willing to get through the uncomfortable conversations. Unfortunately, that's not the way that the world works. And so a lot of people will come out with this opinion of you that you're an a-hole or you're full of yourself or you're out here trying to get clout and whatever. It's like, no, I'm just genuinely trying to have a conversation. You're taking it as me driving some narrative, like I have all this power or something. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like talk here, but some people can take it and some people can't, and it is what it is. But at the core, like that's who I am. I debate, and if you come at me with something, I guarantee you I'm going to look at the ins and outs of it. I'm not always going to be right, but I'm going to sell you on the fact that I'm right because that's what I do. Like I look into the ins and outs of everything, and that's my personality. That's how I roll. So, yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because I just feel like it's, there's and I don't care, what content creators certain people like or whatnot. I'm just saying it's obvious on who sticks out more that are the better, in my opinion, content creators. Now, some people have their certain, cups of teas on what they like, but yeah, I would really like to see, more in our community of people debating on something. And I don't mean debating as far as, having to, have a Twitter space discussion, but I mean, more so of like, okay, this is what Grant thinks. This is what, I don't know who's out there, Rob Shue, or someone like that. I want to see more of that only to see, a different take on all our content creators. But other than that,
listen, bro, we had it tonight, and I don't know if you were watching, but when Javi was on, right?
I was a Waruna. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So listen. So Javi was on. Who, I mean, I know you know him from Twitter. He's like one of the main guys in the community.
Yeah.
So he's on. Nick from Nothing But Niners is on, and we get in on the conversation of Mac Jones and could he have been the pick? And Javi goes off on this, 5 minutes of why he definitely wasn't the pick and da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. And I came back and said, I disagree. Let me tell you why I think he probably was the pick. And I go on my thing. And guess what? We both respected each other's opinions at the end of the day. He saw where I was coming from. I saw where he was coming from. And we left it at that and moved on. Like that's called an adult civil conversation. We had a complete disagreement. And guess what? We got through it. And we both saw the other side of it. Do we agree at the end? No, I still have my opinion. He still has his, but that's what a good conversation is supposed to look like. So I appreciated him for that.
Yeah, so just shout out to everybody that is watching right now. Javi, you're a beast too if you're watching. Like dude has some knowledge, man, I didn't know about, But yeah, so thank you for creating this channel for us, Jess, and everybody in the comments that's watching later. Hit the like button and keep supporting and watch this a second time just so those watch hours can be saturated, please.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you, Pinor. I appreciate you. Shout out to you. I'm glad you were able to call in, and let's go Niners this weekend. Let's hope we can pull it out, huh?
Yeah, I mean, okay, and I know that I'm an extremist to some of you, but I don't care if we lose if Jimmy's starting. I don't care. I want my Lance to develop because you guys are wasting our time. But if you want to start Jimmy, I don't mind him getting hurt either, and I get that people will get mad at me for that. I don't mind if he gets hurt. Go ahead, start him. Start him in this game. But I guarantee you, if Lance is starting, I'm pretty sure he can get away from Buckner. Okay, not all the time. I'm not saying all the time, but he would have a better chance of getting away from Buckner. But if you want to start Jimmy, allow him to get hurt. Allow Brunskill to look embarrassing out there while that's happening, and teach their own. Just thank you for everything, Jess.
All right, brother. You have a good night. I knew you were going to bring the fire before you were off. I appreciate you.
I didn't expect it to be fire. It is what it is. But thank you, Jess. Have a good night.
All right, man. Later. Last Second Sports does not agree with all the comments on the channel. No, I'm just joking. I stick with Pinor through and through. I love Pinor, so that was super funny. Chardal, dude, I'm so sorry, man. I'm ending it here. We've been going for 3 hours strong. I would love to talk to you, but I cut off the call lines a while ago. I got to be up in 5 hours to take my kiddos to school. So call in next time earlier if you can. We do it every Tuesday in between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern is how we roll. I would love to get to you, Chardal, but I just can't do it tonight. To everybody that watched, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you are watching on any other platform, come over to YouTube, type in Last Second Sports, and subscribe there. The last thing that I will say is if you subscribe tonight, or if you've already subscribed, go into the first video on the channel. This is our relaunch channel. We had to remake things. Make sure that you go to that relaunch video. You type in the comments that you have subscribed, and that will get you entered in to win $100 in fan gear that we will be giving away November the 3rd. But that's the only way that you can enter is by commenting on that first video that you have subscribed, and that will get you entered in. Thank you all so much for the support. Have a great night. Go Niners. I am out.